Chapter 31:12. Hongmeng World, Apotheosis Space. We've been waiting for nearly 100 eras. Why hasn't Lin Feng appeared yet? Yeah, could it be that the Taichu Inquisition is pressing him too hard, so Lin Feng won't appear for the time being and challenge the Apotheosis Space? Then how long do we have to wait? This damned mission is such a waste of time. Cultivators from various factions of the Taichu had gathered in the Apotheosis Space to wait for first-hand news of Lin Feng challenging the Apotheosis Space. This was definitely one of the most sensational news in the Taichu, as Lin Feng had previously ranked third in the Apotheosis Space, suppressing all the other absolute beings. This included the strongest powerhouse of the Taichu, Fan Zhu. They were all waiting for Lin Feng to set a new record and challenge the remaining Yuan Venerate Divine Generals to make the Taichu proud. Unfortunately, Lin Feng had suddenly disappeared. Furthermore, he had disappeared for quite a long time this time, so there was no news at all. The wait was dull and boring. Whoosh! A new ray of light appeared in the Apotheosis Space. Cultivators from various factions looked over casually. Although there weren't many cultivators challenging the Yuan Venerate Apotheosis Space, there were still quite a number of them in every era, so it wasn't strange. However, in the next moment, the eyes of the cultivators from various factions widened and they suddenly felt suffocated. That appearance, that aura, wasn't it Lin Feng? Lin Feng is here. He really appeared. Lin Feng has come to challenge the Apotheosis Space again. Wow, I've finally been waiting for news of Senior Lin Feng. That's great, that's really great. I never thought that I would be able to see Senior Lin Feng challenge the Apotheosis Space in my lifetime. The goddamn Taichu Inquisition is unforgivable. It's because of them that Senior Lin Feng has been delayed for so long. The 17th Yuan Venerate Divine General has slaughtered the blood demon gods. Only 6 investiture gods. Senior Lin Feng, you can do it. No problem. Senior Lin Feng must be 100% confident that he can slay the slaughter blood demon god. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder if Senior Lin Feng can enter the top 3 this time. That goes without saying. When has Senior Lin Feng ever let us down? He is the face of our Taichu. The news spread at an astonishing speed, quickly affecting the entire Taichu. After waiting for nearly 100 eras, the hero in their hearts had finally appeared once again. Inside the god's sealing space, Lin Feng nodded at the group of Taichu cultivators and greeted them. Without any hesitation, he stepped into the god seal space where the 17th Yuan Venerate Divine General, the blood demon god, was located. Born at the beginning of the Hongmeng Sea, he was a supreme expert of the demon race. The reason he had such a reputation was because he had killed endlessly and created a brand new massacre Dao. Among the Hongmeng nomological laws, there was a complete massacre Dao. This was a very special Hongmeng nomological law. Many Hongmeng nomological laws were pyramidal models. For example, destruction and great destruction, breaking speed and separation speed, the void boundary and the Wanluo void boundary. However, the massacre Dao was a ladder structure. It was a complete ladder structure, no more and no less. There were level 1 massacre Dao, level 5 massacre Dao, and even level 9 massacre Dao, which had reached the limits of the Hongmeng Sea. It was very complete but very difficult to cultivate. The more complex the structure, the harder it was to cultivate. This was because one had to advance step by step without any deviation in comprehension. Furthermore, this kind of straightforward comprehension required one to have an epiphany at every level. Therefore, cultivating the complete massacre Dao was actually more difficult. However, the slaughter blood demon god had opened up a shortcut kill. To be precise, it was a massacre. Through the crazy slaughter, one could comprehend the massacre Dao. What he had slaughtered was not in the hundreds of millions, but in the trillions. He was even more like Shura than Shura. Even his bloody butcher knife was rapidly evolving from a Hongmeng source to a Hongmeng source. It was terrifying. This kind of cultivation path is ultimately a small path. Even if one cultivates the complete level 9 Massacre Dao, unless one becomes the master of the Hongmeng Sea and the emperor of the Hongmeng Sea, one would die sooner or later. There are too many karmic hindrances and endless inner demons. Those who kill will be killed. Lin Feng was not surprised by the Slaughter Blood Demon God's outcome. The Hongmeng Sea would not allow such a crazy cultivator to exist and disrupt the normal order of the Hongmeng Sea. His actions had already affected the Taichu's operations and affected the Taichu Heavenly Dao's will. It was normal for him to be captured and imprisoned. What a strong murderous aura! Lin Feng arrived at a battlefield piled with corpses. Bones were everywhere, and the thick smell of blood and murderous aura were mixed together. Danger and murderous intent were everywhere. Universe masters with slightly weaker wills would be affected by this frenzied slaughter. Kill. In the void, a bloody mist appeared and condensed into a huge, hideous kill word. The originally dark sky twisted and turned rapidly, converging into an ugly appearance. On a huge head there was a black horn. A pair of blood-red eyes were filled with a terrifying murderous aura that seemed to be able to swallow the Hongmeng Sea. Roar! The violent roar sounded, and the ground shook. White bones were overturned. The blood-red kill word came crashing down like a mountain. This was not an illusion, but one of the Slaughter Blood Demon God's best treasures. Almighty Hongmeng Source, Slaughter Seal. It was both a controlling and attacking treasure. Once hit, even if one wasn't controlled by the seal, one would be attacked by the powerful murderous aura contained in the Slaughter Seal. Pung! Lin Feng's great world incarnation flashed with golden light to protect himself. In an instant, dozens of small world incarnations appeared at the same time. The dark red engravings formed a line and connected with the great world incarnation's golden light. After almost 100 eras of cultivation, Lin Feng had not only mastered the creation of the soul shock technique. He had improved in all aspects. The treasures he had obtained from winning 15 consecutive battles had all been exchanged for Hongmeng origin crystals and absorbed into his body. Now, Lin Feng's Hongmeng golden body alone was 50% stronger than before. Hongmeng golden body was 32% saturated. His strength had improved in all aspects. He was a completely different person from when he was fighting Great Lich Ether. It's just a white bone array. What a waste of time. The murderous aura that filled the void had an invisible connection with the white bones. The battlefield that was filled with murderous aura was suffocating. This was an array that could confuse one's mind and affect one's combat strength. It was an illusion, and it was also an array. Unfortunately, it was completely useless against a cultivator with a strong will like Lin Feng. Boom! The small world incarnation's immense power blasted the white bone-killing intent array away. The entire space shifted, revealing a blood-red wilderness. The Blackhorn Demon's face appeared in front of Lin Feng. Its blood-red eyes stared at Lin Feng, and the ferocious blood-red saber in its hand wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. "It's time for you to die!" The Slaughter Blood Demon God roared. The blood-red saber went straight for Lin Feng's life. Chapter 31:14. Senior Lin Feng is so powerful! He broke Slaughter Blood Devil God's home field advantage in 2 moves. His methods are superb. He switched from defense to offense. Exciting. Different from Great Lich Ether, the seals laid down by Slaughter Blood Devil God are not that strong, so it's easy to break them. Slaughter Blood Devil God's strongest point is his close combat ability, the combination of a super universe body and a level 7 slaughter path. Outside Slaughter Blood Devil God's sealed god space, it was already packed. The spatial ripples that seemed like an illusion showed the exciting battle between Lin Feng and the Blood Demon God of Slaughter. The reason why many cultivators had waited for over 100 eras was because they did not want to miss out on this battle. The challenge in sealed god space only had live broadcasts, not recordings. Even so, the capacity of sealed God space was limited. First come, first served, and the number of cultivators who were able to watch this battle was still very small. After all, Taichu cultivators were not the only ones who were paying attention to this battle. Sealed God space was accessible to all the cultivators in Hongmeng Ocean. Taichu Lin Feng must be stupid. He wants to fight Slaughter Blood Devil God in close combat? Then he's dead meat. The level 7 Slaughter Path strengthens the super universe body horribly, and it constantly affects the opponent's willpower. To deal with Slaughter Blood Devil God, he can only widen the distance and use long-range attacks to wear him down. Just watch. This Taichu human will stop here. Among the spectators, there were many other voices that came from other origin chaotic universes in Hongmeng Ocean. However, there were very few such voices. Most of the cultivators who were paying attention to this battle and entered sealed God space first were Taichu cultivators. Their words of jealousy had long been drowned out by the passionate cries of the Taichu cultivators. Those who could wait bitterly for Lin Feng for 100 eras and enter sealed God space first were definitely loyal Taichu cultivators. Lin Feng's attack was nothing special. It was the exact same blade art of destruction. Lin Feng hadn't created any new blade art during his closed-door training for almost 100 eras. He had already cultivated his blade art conception to its peak. However, the battle blade art of Snow Jade's second stage was naturally stronger than usual. The snow-white Ning Qiong divine beast was covered in layers of golden light, displaying the power of Hongmeng's golden body. However, the energy of Hongmeng's metal body this time was slightly different from before. The golden light of Hongmeng was much dimmer than before, as if it was just the light on the surface. Normally, the stronger the Hongmeng metal body, the purer and brighter the golden light would be. The accumulation of energy would be extremely pure and vast. However, Lin Feng's golden Hongmeng light was actually weaker? Upon closer inspection, the golden Hongmeng light contained a transparent and formless power. It was strange and powerful. Insect emergence. This was the name Lin Feng gave to the power he had cultivated and comprehended for 100 eras. It was like the insect emergence. Its special devouring ability had fused with the golden Hongmeng light and changed the energy structure. The reason why it was still flashing with golden light was because the change in the energy structure wasn't pure. Lin Feng couldn't truly use the insect emergence's devouring ability. Firstly, Lin Feng wasn't an insect, so his physique was different in all aspects. Secondly, Lin Feng's energy was Hongmeng metal body, so it was impossible for him to completely transform it into another type of energy. This wasn't suitable or normal. One's own was the strongest. At that moment, the insect emergence's energy had already appeared. It had fused with the golden Hongmeng's power, weakening part of the Hongmeng metal body's energy and adding a part of the insect emergence's devouring ability. The two types of energy stacked together like a two-stage attack that collided head-on with the Slaughter Blood Demon God. Boom! In the first clash, the golden Hongmeng light was at a complete disadvantage. However, when the golden Hongmeng light was engulfed and devoured by the blood-colored light, the Slaughter Blood Demon God's expression changed instantly. He could feel a terrifying energy corroding his energy in all aspects. What the hell? The Slaughter Blood Demon God couldn't even maintain his massacre Dao. He had traversed the Hongmeng Sea for countless eras and experienced countless battles, but he had never seen such a strange energy before. Pung! The Slaughter Blood Demon God was forced to retreat after one strike. Lin Feng's energy seemed to have a suction force that was about to suck his energy dry. Indeed, this was a characteristic of the insect race. They could absorb the energy of the opponent's universe for their own use. However, Lin Feng didn't have this ability. All he could do was destroy and tear. Even the universe in the Slaughter Blood Demon God's body that he had tried to suppress was torn apart in the first clash. Lin Feng was like a battle saber, slicing through the battle formation that had slaughtered all the blood devil gods and breaking through the encirclement. Invincible! He defeated Slaughter Blood Demon God with one strike. Haha, the Slaughter Blood Demon God's Massacre Dao is just SOSO. What universe ruler's strongest close combat ability? It was broken apart by Lin Feng's battle blade in one strike. Victory is within his grasp. Senior Lin Feng will win for sure this time. In the eyes of the spectating cultivators, there weren't many changes. They only saw Lin Feng breaking Slaughter Blood Demon God's attack with one strike and gaining the upper hand. They didn't know that Slaughter Blood Demon God was cursing in his heart and was inexplicably shocked. If Slaughter Blood Demon God heard these voices, he would probably vomit blood from anger. His close combat ability was inferior to Lin Feng's? Inferior my ass. He was the blood devil god that slaughtered all. He was an ultimate universe ruler whose close combat ability could last 300 rounds in a world war. Despicable. Again. Slaughter Blood Demon God was filled with murderous intent as a thick bloody light enveloped him. This time, he really went all out. The Level 7 Massacre Dao combined with the Super Universe body allowed Slaughter Blood Demon God to transform into Shura Killing God. He killed gods and Buddhas. Man and blade fused as one. Blood Slaughter Blade was filled with billions of evil spirits. It was ferocious and terrifying as it erupted with terrifying power. It wasn't just a test of a cultivator's willpower, it was also an extreme display of power. He was Blood Demon God who had slaughtered billions of living beings. Chi. 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 The aura completely suppressed Lin Feng's Slaughter Blood Demon God. His storm-like attacks were deflected by Lin Feng. His core power was once again nibbled away, causing Slaughter Blood Demon God's ferocious face to twist. Again. Ka. Ka. Slaughter Blood Demon God gritted his teeth, but this time, he didn't retreat. The tyrannical power transformed into Blood Slaughter Blade's shocking and violent attack. He intended to kill Lin Feng as quickly as possible. Slaughter Blood Demon God, who had experienced billions of battles, had rich battle experience. He knew that this was the special characteristic of his opponent's attack. If he couldn't restrain it, he would completely overwhelm him. If it was really 100% of the bug race's power, he might not be able to withstand Slaughter Blood Demon God's tyrannical attack. The suppression of energy was only one aspect. Could the bug race commander defeat the first marshal? He couldn't, even though his energy could restrain the first marshal. Lin Feng's energy wasn't the bug race's energy. Insect emergence only contained the uniqueness of the bug race's energy. Just the bug race's energy alone wouldn't be able to drive the golden Hongmeng body and use Annihilation Blade technique. Combination was the true way of the king. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:15. Great Destruction. Lin Feng had slaughtered all the blood demon gods and reaped the lives of billions of vengeful souls with the sanguine slaughterer saber. It did not affect Lin Feng at all. It was already good enough that Lin Feng did not use his will to attack the enemy, but to use this to affect him? What a joke. Boom. Golden light condensed, and Lin Feng's Great Destruction World Esper instantly exploded. While defending, he forced Slaughtering Blood Devil God away. The surrounding dozens of small worlds instantly condensed their power. The dark red light combined with Hongmeng's Law of Destruction, displaying innate power. 20 stacks. Insect Emergence. The insect race's ability was far more useful in attacking than defending. The devouring and destruction of the enemy's internal universe caused Lin Feng's blade technique to be like condensing terrifying runes, opening a path with Hongmeng's Law of Destruction. Originally, Slaughtering Blood Devil God wasn't good at defense. In close combat, it was either you die or I die. The bloody Slaughter Blade and Snow Jewel clashed again and again. Even though the bloody Slaughter Blade had unleashed 100% of its power and suppressed Snow Jewel, they were both primordial origin artifacts, so the bloody slaughter blade was unable to destroy Snow Jewel. In addition, Lin Feng's insect manifestation and primordial golden body gave Snow Jewel the ability to fight back. Clang! Ning Qiong, who was becoming more and more courageous, tore apart the billions of vengeful souls on the Blood Slaughterer saber. After countless clashes, Slaughter Blood Devil God's attacks were gradually grasped. Lin Feng's strength, however, continued to stack with each clash. The small world incarnation contained an inexhaustible amount of energy, while Chong Xian countered Slaughter Blood Devil God. Damn it! I'll never admit defeat. The hysterical Blood Demon God that had slaughtered the Blood Demon God was completely suppressed by Lin Feng in the close combat that he was so proud of. Lin Feng's strange attacks had weakened him bit by bit, and every time he was weakened, it would affect him a little. Again and again, he was weakened and finally exhausted. No. A painful and mournful voice resounded in the sealed God space. The sky was filled with blood and it was nauseating. Lin Feng's eyes were sharp. Snow Jade drew a perfect arc, and the golden light fused with a trace of invisible force, completely destroying Slaughtering Blood Devil God. Slaughtering Blood Devil God turned into a white light and disappeared. He should have died long ago. Even in the real world, Lin Feng would not hesitate to kill Blood Devil God Tu Guang. From the souls accumulated on his bloody slaughter blade and his murderous intent, it was clear how many cultivators he had killed. Hundreds of millions of them. Even if he was imprisoned in the God sealing space forever, it wouldn't be enough to erase his sins. Hua Lin Feng appeared from the Blood Devil Slaughter's God sealing space. His eyes had a tinge of blood red. It was not because he was affected by Blood Devil Slaughter's Tao of Massacre, but because he had a strong killing intent towards Blood Devil Slaughter. Tao of Slaughter? Your Tao of Slaughter is too narrow. If Lin Feng was willing, he could calm down and comprehend it. After the intense battle with the Blood Devil God, he could instantly comprehend the Tao of Massacre to the 3rd or 4th level. However, it would be difficult to comprehend any further. Lin Feng was not interested in doing so for the time being. Calm down first. Go and choose your reward. After that, I will challenge the last ultimate universe ruler, the 18th Yuan Venerate Divine General, the red-faced immortal. Lin Feng cultivated and prepared for the next challenge. This time, he did not intend to cultivate in seclusion. After 100 eras of seclusion, Chong Xian's comprehension and the creation of a secret technique comparable to the Hongmeng ruler had allowed Lin Feng's strength to improve by leaps and bounds. Although the red-faced immortal was stronger than Blood Devil Slaughter, he was still only an ultimate universe ruler. Lin Feng was confident that he could defeat him. He still had a trump card that he had yet to play. Chong Xian's comprehension during 100 eras was only a small part of it. Lin Feng spent most of his time comprehending the Ether Journal, improving his soul power, and creating a secret technique of the soul. At the moment, the God Seal space, the entire Taichu, and the Hongmeng Sea were in an uproar. Blood Devil Slaughter's strength was clearly stronger than Great Lich Ether's, and there were only 6 names on the God Seal ranking. This was enough to show his strength. Since ancient times, only 6 Yuan Venerate cultivators had been able to defeat Blood Devil Slaughter. Now there was one more. He is ranked 3rd. Hee. Where are the people who said that Lin Feng defeated Great Lich Ether by luck? Come on out. I promise I won't beat you to death. Senior Lin Feng won this battle very easily. Although he used up a lot of time, did you guys notice that Senior Lin Feng didn't even have the slightest injury after such an intense battle? He's too amazing. It is actually very rare for a Yuan Venerate to defeat a universe ruler. The suppression of one's internal universe is especially strong. However, Lin Feng did not seem to be affected at all. Instead, he was suppressed throughout Blood Devil Slaughter. His defeat was expected. This is a complete victory. The Taichu cultivators discussed enthusiastically. Lin Feng's battle shocked the Hongmeng Sea. Even if the powerhouses of the other origin chaotic universes were still reluctant to admit Lin Feng's strength, the ranking was enough to explain everything. Being ranked third twice in a row showed that Lin Feng's strength was genuine. He didn't rely on luck to get to where he was now. He is definitely not a match for the red-faced immortal. Is that so? Let's bet if you have the guts, brother. I am willing to bet everything on Lin Feng's victory. Do you dare? Why bother arguing with this kind of person? He is narrow-minded and can't stand others doing well. He even slandered Senior Lin Feng. He is the same kind of person as the Taichu Inquisition. The Taichu Inquisition. Nearly 100 eras had passed, and the storm of that day had yet to dissipate. The reputation of the Taichu Inquisition in the Taichu origin chaotic universe had hit rock bottom. In particular, Pope and the other two guardian gods had yet to appear. The drunken guardian god was not good at management, so it was difficult for the Taichu Inquisition to stop its reputation from plummeting. Feng Yi and the other two order keepers hoped to wait for the matter to die down and for Lord Pope to come back and deal with it. After all, it was useless to explain now. The most important thing was that they did not have enough strength to deal with Lin Feng. It's over. Lin Feng has broken the record again. The ice hornless order keeper pressed his head with a sad face. The Taichu Inquisition is probably going to be hung out again and beaten up by everyone. The order keeper Archie was expressionless, but the corners of his mouth were twitching slightly. Let's keep a low profile for now. The order keeper Feng Yi closed his eyes. He was already numb. Whatever. Anyway, the situation can't get any worse. Lord Drunken Guardian God is not willing to come out. We can't do anything with just the few of us. Let's wait for Lord Pope to come back, the order keeper Archie said. At that time, as long as we kill Lin Feng, the matter will be settled. History and truth are in the hands of the victors. But what if? The order keeper Ice Hornless Order said softly. Even Lord Pope can't deal with Lin Feng? Silence reigned. The three order keepers looked at each other and swallowed their saliva. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:16. My previous thoughts were right. The key to insect emergence is control. How to perfectly control the ratio of insect race energy to my own energy to maximize the effect. Blindly evolving insect race energy was useless. Insect race energy did not mean invincibility. It was only slightly restrained by the Hongmeng Sea's energy system. However, if he evolved insect race energy himself, Lin Feng's ability would be greatly reduced. He could not possibly use insect race energy to unleash Hongmeng source items, right? The battle with the Blood Devil God was not so much a challenge to the investiture of the gods. It was more of a battle where Lin Feng experimented with insect emergence. He had just mastered this move, and there were many areas where Lin Feng had not fully grasped. He did not know its true power. However, after this battle, when he thought about it carefully and reconstructed the entire battle process, Lin Feng had raised the proficiency of insect emergence to a relatively high percentage. It was very important. Moreover, in Lin Feng's mind, insect emergence was not the ultimate form. It was only the initial form. The second step is to effectively fuse the two types of energy and unleash 100% of its power at the same time. It's called Great Change. Lin Feng's current mastery of Great Change was still at the initial stage. It was not easy to contain two types of energy at the same time. However, it was theoretically possible. The third step is to fully display the characteristics of insect race energy. If I can fully display the power of engulf, not only will the restraining effect be stronger, but my own strength will also be more vigorous. Insect race could devour the internal universe and turn the enemy's energy into food to strengthen themselves. However, Lin Feng had no confidence in this step. This was because his structure was not necessarily the same as the insect races. The energy he absorbed might not be able to strengthen himself. However, even if he could not devour and absorb, just fully displaying the characteristics of insect race would increase his combat power by a lot. After that, it's the true ultimate form, perfect fusion. With the experience of cultivating the 9 heavens of light and darkness, Lin Feng had a certain concept and idea of how to fuse 2 different types of energy. He also knew clearly how to proceed. Step by step. If he fused directly from the start, there was a high probability of failure. Step by step, let his body and strength gradually adapt and master it bit by bit. This was the right way. Moreover, the first step of fusion was very important. Perfect control of the insects was the most basic of the basic. The sound of the outside world had no effect on Lin Feng. Including his second brother Shirwan Li's counterattack against the Taichu Inquisition, Lin Feng only laughed it off. Right now, all his energy was focused on one thing: Yuan venerate investiture of the gods. I will go all out against the red-faced immortal in the next match. Lin Feng wanted to confirm just how much of a difference there was between him and Emperor Gu Huang, who was at the top of the leaderboard. Time passed slowly. In this battle, Lin Feng's control of insects' manifestation was even more perfect. Compared to the first time he had used insects' manifestation when he slaughtered the blood demon god, Lin Feng had grasped the control and proportion of the 2 energies perfectly. This was the key to creating the second step, great change. From insect emergence to great transformation, this set of energy evolution secret technique was one of a kind. It would also be Lin Feng's trump card to truly stand at the top of the Hongmeng Sea. It's about time. Lin Feng stood up. He was not in a hurry to enter the red-faced immortal's god bestowment space. He had yet to receive the god bestowment reward for defeating the blood demon god. Perhaps there would be a surprise? Lin Feng did not harbor any hope. As the saying goes, there are ups and downs. In the great Lich Ether's god bestowment reward, his luck was already off the charts. He had obtained a set of Ether's journal. The god bestowment reward for slaughtering the blood demon god would probably find a balance and fall slightly short. Slaughtering the blood demon god's strength is displayed there. It shouldn't be too far off. Lin Feng looked at the leftmost option, Hongmeng Source Item category. There were 4 Hongmeng Source items displayed by slaughtering the blood demon god. One was his armor, a powerful Hongmeng Source item. Another was the seal that revealed the word kill, also a powerful Hongmeng Source item. The last was a domain-type treasure, a Hongmeng Source item from the Fallen Bone Formation. Its grade was not easy to determine, but it was not a powerful Hongmeng Source item. At the very least, it was a Universe Hongmeng Source item. If I choose this option, it's equivalent to exchanging a treasure for a Hongmeng Source crystal. There's a high chance that it's a powerful Hongmeng Source item. It was not considered good, but it was not bad either. At the very least, it had a lower limit. Slaughtering the blood demon god's only remaining Hongmeng Source item was his bloody slaughter blade. However, this was an extremely evil blade. It was unique to slaughtering the blood demon god. After slaughtering billions of lives, the blade had mutated and upgraded to a Hongmeng Source item. The reward from the sealed god space would not be this bloody slaughter blade. Oh! The luck option in the middle was immediately eliminated by Lin Feng. As long as one was not stupid, they would not choose the luck option. Any one of these ultimate universe masters would drop a top-notch treasure in the Hongmeng Ocean. On the far right were the training treasures. Lin Feng chose the most among the sealed god rewards. Previously, he had chosen the Ether Journal here. This time, Lin Feng's gaze was also locked on here. Although he did not think his luck would be that good this time, what if it was still there? Moreover, slaughtering the blood demon god was a super-universe body. In terms of power, he had reached the pinnacle. In terms of power control and level, Lin Feng could not hope to catch up. Even if he could not get the best training rewards, it would be good to get some level secret techniques as a reward. This is it. Lin Feng entered the light on the right that was like a whirlpool. When he reached out his hand, he did not feel any changes in intent. Obviously, it was not like the Hongming laws, but a physical object. Mystic technique? Lin Feng was taken aback. He looked at the silver-framed mystic technique that was as thin as a cicada's wing. He was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Weapon condensation art. When he flipped open the silver-white mystic technique manual, Lin Feng did not have much hope. After all, just the name alone was enough to tell what sort of mystic technique it was. Even though the beginning had a strange character, Qi. However, the last 3 words and the mention of slaughtering the blood demon god's bloody slaughter blade that had accumulated billions of wraiths, Lin Feng was basically certain. Indeed, that is the case. Dreams were beautiful, but reality was harsh. Lin Feng roughly flipped through the Qi weapon condensation art. The text was somewhat strange. There were some parts that Lin Feng could not understand, but the general content and pictures were very obvious. This was a mystic technique manual for weapon refinement. Slaughtering the blood demon god's bloody slaughter blade was likely forged in this manner. According to what Lin Feng knew, slaughtering the blood demon god's bloody slaughter blade was originally an ordinary Hongmeng origin item. However, after killing billions of wraiths and being baptized in blood, it finally mutated into a battle blade that dominated Hongmeng's origin item. To be precise, it should be a transformation. Lin Feng nodded slightly. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:17. If he hadn't guessed wrongly, the blood demon god must have used the secret technique recorded in the Qi weapon condensation art to strengthen the bloody slaughter blade step by step. Therefore, the bloody slaughter blade hadn't undergone an uncontrollable mutation. Instead, it had undergone a complete metamorphosis. Tempering the weapon through repeated massacres? Lin Feng closed the Qi weapon condensation art. He wasn't interested in it. Indeed, I've used up all my luck. Lin Feng put the Qi weapon condensation art away, feeling a little disappointed. After all, the other secret techniques of the blood demon god should have been pretty good. He had many weaknesses in terms of power control and boundary, which was very similar to the spirit Tao. His foundation wasn't solid. Unfortunately, the god ceiling reward for the blood demon god was a bit of a scam. I hope the Red Face Immortal's God Ceiling reward isn't so impractical. Lin Feng opened the God Ceiling ranking for the Blood Demon God and checked his ranking. Unsurprisingly, he was 3rd. Lin Feng didn't really care about the ranking for this battle, as he knew very well that he wouldn't be ranked very high. He had spent a lot of time experimenting with the Blood Demon God, and it wasn't as clean and tidy as the battle with Great Lich Ether. However, there were only 6 God Ceiling rankings for the Blood Demon God. Many of them had only succeeded after several challenges. Since he had succeeded in one challenge, his ranking would naturally be higher. Senior Gu Huang is still so impressive. Lin Feng sighed. He didn't even rank 2nd. Regardless of whether it was Huang Zun, the ultimate god, or the Yuan Venerate God Ceiling role, Senior Gu Huang was always at the top and had never broken the invincible golden body. The 19th and 20th Yuan Venerate Divine Generals after the Red Face Immortal were also Senior Gu Huang's only name. I hope I can be on par with Senior Gu Huang one day. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he exited the God Ceiling role and moved to the God Ceiling space of the 18th Yuan Venerate Divine General. Ultimate Universe Ruler, the Red Face Immortal. There were only 3 names on his investiture celestial ranking, which showed how strong he was. He was ranked 1st among the 3 Ultimate Universe Ruler Yuan Venerate Divine Generals. Mind Cultivator. Furthermore, the Red Face Immortal was proficient in Hongmeng nomological laws. Good luck, Senior Lin Feng. We're waiting for you to break the record, Senior Lin Feng. You are our Taichu's hero. Let's go all the way. The Taichu cultivators all around were shouting excitedly and expectantly. Their eyes were filled with reverence and faith for Lin Feng. Their faces were red, and they were burning with passion. All the other voices were suppressed. All the Taichu cultivators worshipped Lin Feng like crazy. Lin Feng was the pride of the Taichu. All right. Lin Feng responded with a rare smile. He then stepped into the space of the red-faced immortal. In an instant, the whole world fell silent. Endless majestic energy came crushing from all directions. Will suppression. Beneath Lin Feng's feet, there was a grand formation of ancient runes. It was hidden in the clouds, surrounded by huge pillars of ancient runes. 7 colored dragons were circling around them. 7 ancient rune dragon pearls were swallowing and spitting out 7 different colored pearls, creating a huge dragon rune formation in the void. What a strong display of strength! Lin Feng raised his hand and the great realm incarnation spread out. Ripples appeared and the 7 small realm incarnations landed below the 7 dragon pearls. Great obliteration! 7-fold obliteration! He executed a series of hand seals, and it exploded in the blink of an eye. There was no pause. Lin Feng didn't understand array formations and wouldn't rack his brains to break this strange dragon array. The full power of great obliteration was terrifying. The most suitable thing to do was to destroy the array formation. Ah! A shrill cry was heard as the dragon patterns shattered. A universe ruler in a loose robe screamed as he was sent flying backward like a kite with a broken string. It was the ultimate universe ruler, the red-faced immortal. He had never imagined that the great array he had painstakingly set up would be destroyed so brutally, especially by a mere Yuan Venerate. Even a great realm master might not be able to break his 7-dragon serpent array with brute force. This was completely unexpected. Lin Feng might have seemed to be breaking it with brute force, but he had actually used a lot of techniques. For example, the small realm incarnation had directly attacked the 7 core positions of the array. The eruption of great obliteration had also locked the 7-dragon serpent array and released all the energy in one go. The power of great obliteration was strong, but it was an indiscriminate attack. Lin Feng's single attack couldn't compare to a great realm master's, but great obliteration was a different story. Just in time to break the array, Lin Feng moved the snow jewel in his hand and the golden light of Hongmeng condensed. The small realm incarnation locked the red-faced immortal's position and quickly appeared in front of him. Chi! How could he miss such a great opportunity? Lin Feng hadn't thought of breaking this dragon serpent array. At the same time, he had injured the red-faced immortal as well. However, even if the red-faced immortal was unscathed, Lin Feng was absolutely confident that he could take him down. Pa! 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 Crimson Face Immortal transformed into a 3-headed, 6-armed Taoist seal that flashed with illusory light appeared on each of his 6 arms. Just like 100,000 miles, Crimson Face Immortal also had a primordial physique. Although he was at a disadvantage, he remained calm and composed in the face of danger, and his defense was airtight. However, to the red-faced immortal's surprise, his rock-solid Tao seals felt like they were being melted when they met Lin Feng's blade technique. How is this possible? The red-faced immortal Tao seals appeared again and again, but Lin Feng's golden energy wrapped around them had a strange effect. It was like a flame that devoured and burned his energy. He retreated while fighting. The red-faced immortal's originally red face turned even redder and his eyes were filled with shock. It was too strange. His energy, what's going on? The red-faced immortal let out a muffled groan as he was struck by Lin Feng's destructive attack head-on. Blood gushed out of his mouth. His Taoist seal and his strongest defensive treasure, the Vajra seal, were unable to block the opponent's strange saber attack. His opponent's attack wasn't very strong. Boom, boom, boom. Snow Jewel was straightforward and neat. It broke through the red-faced immortal's defense and quickly expanded its advantage, pressuring the red-faced immortal until he couldn't breathe. The red-faced immortal, whose defense was thwarted repeatedly, couldn't unleash his tyrannical strength at all. He had been taking a beating ever since the 7 dragons' absolute array had been broken. Damn it! The red-faced immortal shone brightly and a mist appeared under his feet. He tried to escape by burrowing into the ground like a spinning top. If he couldn't win, he would run. He would wait until he found the opponent's weakness and recovered his strength before fighting again. He would definitely lose if this continued. The red-faced immortal wasn't stupid. He knew very well that the current situation was very unfavorable for him. He had been able to hold the 18th position on the Unvenerate's investiture of the gods for a reason. The red-faced immortal was very good at using his various abilities. However, at that moment, boom! A heart-wrenching pain came from the depths of the red-faced immortal's soul. His eyes widened as his courage shattered. Spiritual shock. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:18. As a mind cultivator, the red-faced immortal's soul wasn't weak and he was well-rounded in all aspects. However, his opponent's spiritual shock was completely unexpected, as his opponent was only a Unvenerate. The gap between their internal universes was huge. As an ultimate universe ruler, the red-faced immortal could rely on the absolute advantage of his internal universe to easily suppress his opponent's spiritual shock, even if he was seriously injured. However, something's not right. Just as his internal universe was about to suppress the spiritual shock, it was instantly eroded. It was like a huge net trying to capture a demonic beast, but the demonic beast turned into smoke and seeped out of the net. It was completely ignored. What kind of weird energy is this? The red-faced immortal roared internally. Without the suppression of his internal universe, his spiritual defense didn't have an advantage, as the red-faced immortal's spiritual defense treasure wasn't that strong. Cultivators who focused on their physical bodies would pay more attention to spiritual defense treasures. This was their weakness. The souls of mind cultivators were usually not weak. Furthermore, the red-faced immortal had a Hongmeng body that was reinforced by his willpower and assisted by his mind cultivation mystic art. Perhaps his spiritual attack might not be that strong, but his spiritual defense was definitely top-notch. However, his opponent this time was rather strange. Not only did the spiritual mystic art completely ignore the suppression of the internal universe, but the golden Hongmeng power also contained extremely destructive and tearing power. The Hongmeng golden body also suppressed the Hongmeng body in terms of grade. Ether Soul Energy Breaker. Lin Feng used the strongest spiritual shock mystic art he had comprehended and created in the past 100 eras. Back in the 30th era, Lin Feng had already created a top-notch Hongmeng mystic art through the comprehension of the Ether Journal. The Great Lich Ether's spiritual shock mystic art was his lifetime's work. It combined illusion techniques, puppet techniques, control abilities, and his own characteristics to reach the level of Hongmeng mystic art. Lin Feng couldn't just comprehend the Ether Journal and copy it. No matter how good other people's things were, they were still other people's things. Even powerful existences would create secret techniques based on their own characteristics, let alone the rulers of the universe. Using the Ether Journal as a reference, Lin Feng's Hongmeng secret technique was already the limit. Even if Lin Feng had obtained the Great Lich Ether's Soul Shock secret technique, it would be very difficult for him to perfect it. After all, it was created based on the Great Lich Ether's characteristics. After that, Lin Feng comprehended the insect emergence and turned it into his own cultivation attainments. Combined with the Ether Journal, he had a new idea. After 8 eras, he finally created the Ether Soul Energy Breaker, a soul attack mystic technique. Hongmeng's secret technique, combined with the characteristics of the Great Lich Ether's Soul Shock secret technique, which could ignore one's internal universe, and the special ability of insect emergence, supported by the Golden Hongmeng's power and the Golden Will that was comparable to a World Lord, combined with Lin Feng's own characteristics, To a certain extent, it was even more powerful than Great Lich Ether's soul shock. This was because this was a secret art that was 120% compatible with Lin Feng. Pung! In the void, the red-faced immortal struggled with all his might. His eyes were about to pop out of their socket. His severely injured body had originally wanted to escape, but he had taken a fatal blow at the most critical moment. If he had been in perfect condition, the red-faced immortal might have been able to resist Lin Feng's soul shock secret technique, the Ether Soul Energy Breaker. Unfortunately, he was already at a disadvantage from the moment the Seven Dragons' Annihilation formation was broken. One after another, the red-faced immortal had no room to fight back. He was the ultimate universe master, a powerful being that dominated the Hongming Sea and was looked up to by all the cultivators, but he turned into a beam of white light and disappeared from the god-sealing dimension. Lin Feng, holding the battle sword Snow Jade, floated in the void with a calm expression. His calm appearance did not seem like he had just gone through a fierce battle. It was as if that was just a warm-up. Outside the god-sealing dimension, the cultivators who were lucky enough to witness this battle were stunned and gasped. Although they all supported Lin Feng and saw Lin Feng as their goal and idol, they were still shocked to see Lin Feng completely destroy the red-faced immortal. Too powerful. It was a crushing victory. If one did not know the strength of the red-faced immortal, they would have thought that Lin Feng had only defeated an ordinary universe master. However, the truth was that he was an ultimate universe master. Since ancient times, there had only been 3 cultivators in the history of the Hongmeng Sea who had left their names in the god-sealing rankings of the red-faced immortal. Many world lords had been defeated by the red-faced immortal when they had been Yuan venerates. The red-faced immortal's strength was widely acknowledged. However, he had been defeated by Lin Feng without any suspense. Moreover, it had been a crushing defeat. Too powerful, too exciting, this battle is enough to be recorded in the annals of history. I have not waited for a century in vain. In a battle between mind cultivators, Senior Lin Feng crushed him in all aspects. It is reasonable that he won. The red-faced immortal has lost so miserably. Yes, mind cultivators are strong in all aspects. They use their strengths to attack the enemy's weaknesses. The most frightening thing is to encounter a mind cultivator who is as all-round as him and stronger in all aspects. How can he fight? Senior Lin Feng is already invincible. In the entire Taichu, there are probably only a handful of people stronger than Senior Lin Feng who can defeat the red-faced immortal, right? No wonder the Taichu Inquisition admitted defeat. All the cultivators were full of admiration. Their eyes were burning with reverence. The Hongmeng Sea valued strength the most, and Lin Feng's strength was now widely acknowledged. Only a small portion of the cultivators had watched the battle in the god-sealing space. As the news of Lin Feng defeating the red-faced immortal spread, the Taichu Sea would definitely cause a huge uproar and cause huge cheers. Even the Hongmeng Sea would be shaken. Lin Feng had become the 4th cultivator to defeat the red-faced immortal. 1. Taisher Guhuang. 2. Taichu Lin Feng. 3. Tai Elegant Gentleman. Lin Feng nodded gently as he looked at the rankings on the god-sealing list. Although he was still ranked 2nd, this would only motivate him to improve his strength even more. He had been in seclusion for 100 eras, and he had gone all out to fight against the red-faced immortal. Lin Feng would not have any regrets no matter what his ranking was. After all, this was his strongest strength at the moment. Senior Guhuang is still amazing. As expected of the existence who single-handedly resolved Taisher's calamity. Lin Feng admired Guhuang very much and also knew that there was still a certain gap between him and Guhuang. If he had gone to Taisher's calamity now, would he have been able to quell the insect calamity like Guhuang had? The answer was no. Admitting that there was a gap didn't mean admitting defeat. Lin Feng had always been indomitable when facing a strong opponent. Guhuang was ranked 1st on the Huang Zun investiture god list, the godly venerate investiture god list, and even the Yuan venerate investiture god list. He was very strong. However, it was also very challenging. 3 more battles. Lin Feng closed the investiture god sealing list and looked at the last 3 divine generals on the Yuan venerate investiture god list. These 3 battles would be a one-on-one battle between him and Senior Guhuang. I will try my best. I will push Senior's ranking down to 2nd place. Lin Feng's Fighting Spirit Sword. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:19. At the center of the Grand Mist Sea, endless Grand Mist energy swirled around a towering pagoda. It was so tall that one couldn't see the top of it. The pagoda seemed to be formed from 2 different halves. Both halves were different, and the energy they emitted was also different. Thick fog swirled around the pagoda, and ancient golden runes were drawn on the surface of the pagoda, containing a powerful strength. Even an attack from a world master couldn't shake the tower at all. Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower. Overseeing the Hongmeng Ocean and appearing in the Hongmeng world, almost all the cultivators had entered the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower. Naturally, it was a real existence. Everything in the Hongmeng world was real, just on a smaller scale. However, there were too few cultivators who could enter the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower. It wasn't a forbidden area, but it had a great restriction on power. Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower emitted a great power like a giant beast, and nothing could get close to it. In the chaos outside the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower, top-tier great beings from the 5 origin chaotic universes used it to train their willpower. Those who could enter the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower were at least top-tier universe masters, and the requirement for willpower was very high. The closer one was, the stronger the power. Even the willpower of a world master couldn't get within 100 meters of the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower. It had existed since the birth of the Hongmeng Ocean, and no one knew the origin of the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower. No one knew where the investiture of the gods in the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower came from. It was still a mystery to this day. In the Hongmeng Dual Pole Tower region, the energy changed very quickly, and the heavenly path laws were suppressed. Space and time were very unstable, and even dimensional passageways would appear. Under normal circumstances, dimensional passageways were unpredictable and could change at any time. Because of the instability of the energy, cultivators couldn't pass through the dimensional passageways and enter another dimensional world, unless the dimensional passageways were fixed. It was very difficult. To fix a dimensional passageway required not only a huge amount of energy, but also a complete understanding of space and time. This was far more difficult than reversing time and space to revive a cultivator. Dimensional passageways rarely appeared, and usually, they would disappear very quickly, let alone fixed dimensional passageways. Once a fixed dimensional channel appeared, it would be a disaster for the Hongmeng Sea. That was because there was bound to be a super expert in the other dimension. At this moment, in the region of Hongmeng's twin towers, there were a total of 4 fixed dimensional passageways. Their thickness and energy intensity were all different. The widest dimensional passageway was 1,000 meters in diameter, while the thinnest one was only 100 meters in diameter. To experts, the size of a dimensional passageway wasn't a problem, as they could easily shrink and enlarge their bodies. The most important principle for determining the size of a dimensional passageway was its energy tolerance. It was like a single plank bridge with limited capacity. The capacity of the dimensional passageway was very similar to that of the universe. Its capacity was energy. The longer the diameter, the larger the dimensional passageway, and the more powerful the cultivators it could accommodate. This meant that it could accommodate even more powerful cultivators. A diameter of 100 meters was not enough. However, with a diameter of 1,000 meters, it could easily accommodate world lords, and not just one. I wonder how Grand Ease is doing. Fan Zhu was guarding the 3rd dimensional passageway. It had a diameter of just over 300 meters and was the second smallest dimensional passageway. After a fierce battle, the Nether Killers have expended a lot of energy. They probably won't launch an attack anytime soon. The man who spoke was dressed in black battle armor. He had a sonorous and righteous aura, and there was an indestructible will in his eyes. He was the top commander of the army god. Although he and Fan Zhu weren't blood brothers, they were closer than real brothers. He. Chairman Egio, who had a small tuft of golden hair on his head, came over. Grand Ease has 2 world lords, Chaos Dao Monarch and Thousand Blood Empress. Their combat power is also the best in the 5 origin chaotic universes. They should have no problem guarding the first-dimensional channel. The army god looked serious. We can't be careless. The Nether Killers have extremely strong individual combat power. The 9 Hell Kings all have unique skills, and their strength is not weaker than a world lord. This time, they have opened dimensional channels consecutively and are well prepared. They definitely won't give up just like that. Chairman Egio laughed. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. If they want to invade our Hongmeng Sea, we can't do anything about it. Let's see who's more capable. The war has been going on for more than 100 eras. The Nether Killers are serious this time. Leader Tianzhe's tall body exuded a strong pressure. He was like a huge monster in the 3rd-dimensional channel, but this was not even a billionth of his original body. Fan Zhu put his hands behind his back and said calmly, "The Nether Killers are much stronger than the insect race. They are ranked higher in the dimensional world than the Hongmeng Sea. Although we have the geographical advantage, the reputation of the Nether Killers as the 9 Hell Kings is widespread. Furthermore, they don't rely much on the environment. It's still unknown who will win." The Nether Killers were similar to the demon race. They had greenish-gray skin, similar to the patterns of the demon race. They were usually bald or had extremely short hair. Their skin was full of scars. To the Nether Killers, scars were the mark of the strong. The Nether Killers wielded all kinds of weapons, including swords, axes, sabers, hammers, daggers, and so on. Battle was the meaning of their existence. The Nether Killers were natural-born warriors. If an expert from the Hongmeng Sea entered the dimensional world of the Nether Killers, it would be difficult for him to unleash his full strength. After all, other dimensional worlds did not have the Hongmeng law of the Hongmeng Sea, but the Nether Killers did not. They focused on themselves, strengthening their physical bodies and strength. Even their souls were used to serve their physical bodies. Nether Soul. The Nether Killers trained in strengthening their physical bodies. They had the talent Nether Soul. Burning the Nether Soul would allow them to unleash more power. They burned the 6 extremes of the soul: strengthening, golden body, nether entering, brutality, soul flame, and extreme breaking. The dimensional world of the Nether Killers was divided into 9 prisons. Each prison had a king whose strength was equivalent to a world lord. They led the prison masters, marshals, and generals. Every king of the Nether Kill clan was born through countless life and death battles. From birth to death, the Nether Kill clan was always fighting. Hence, their fighting power was extremely strong. Being a world lord, the Nether Kill clan's king of 9 hells had terrifying fighting power. They were the opposite of the insect race. The insect race focused on the whole and had the advantage of numbers. The Nether Killers focused on the individual. Elite experts had top-notch strength that surpassed everything. By the way, what did Pope go to do? After a long while, the chairman suddenly asked. He frowned and complained, "We are here resisting the Nether Killers, but he went back to the Taichu to slack off." "The will of the heavenly way is in some trouble," Leader Tianze replied. "Pretentious." The army god snorted. He had always disliked the Taichu Inquisition and the will of the heavenly way. "It doesn't matter whether he is there or not. The will of the heavenly way." Fan Zhu's eyes flashed. The other universe lords might not know, but he knew a thing or two about the will of the heavenly way after Pope left. the fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 3120. Taichu Inquisition, Pope Shadow. Above the 13 Order Palaces and the 3 Guardian Palaces, rays of light converged at the top of the sky. Deep within the purple mist, a majestic power was high above. Dressed in a long black robe and wearing a mask that seemed to be filled with rage, the Pope stood in the depths of the great hall with his back facing the Pope. His aura spread out, making people feel suffocated. In front of him was an expanse of illusory and complicated divine light. It was like the convergence of boundless primordial laws, and it took the form of a strange spiral that was boundless. Merely looking at that ball of divine light gave one the feeling of being divine and inviolable. Formless energy filled the Pope's body. The 3 guardian gods of sword, candlelight, and drunkenness bowed with solemn expressions. Behind them, the 13 Order maintainers knelt on one knee, not daring to breathe. Pope Shadow was furious. Pope Shadow had 5 masks, representing excitement, joy, calmness, anger, and anger. Now, this mask was filled with anger like a raging fire. It was the symbol of anger. Drunkenness. The Pope bellowed, "I'm useless." Drunk, who reeked of alcohol, bowed his head and closed his eyes. After being defeated by Lin Feng for the first time, he had recuperated and was ready to find Lin Feng for revenge. However, news of Lin Feng's breakthrough into the Yuan Venerate investiture of the gods came one after another. Even Great Lich Ether had been defeated by Lin Feng. Drunk's fighting spirit and drunkenness dissipated instantly. What a joke! That was Great Lich Ether, an ultimate universe ruler. If they were evenly matched, Drunk wouldn't have admitted defeat so easily. He would have tried his best. After all, this was an order from the will of the heavens. He would do his best to complete it. However, the difference in strength was too great. "Pope, please punish us," Feng Yi, Archie, and Ice Dragon King said in unison. Pope Shadow snorted, and a huge pressure descended, causing the 3 Order maintainers to feel a chill down their spines. Cold sweat dripped down their backs. Once Pope Shadow got angry, no one could protect them. However, Pope Shadow didn't seem to have any intention of punishing them. He was just giving them a small punishment. Indeed, even Drunk Guardian God wasn't a match for Lin Feng, let alone the 3 Order maintainers. "Candle, speak." The Pope's voice was cold. The 3 Guardian Gods each had their own duties. The Guardian God of Swords killed the Guardian Gods and carried out their missions. The Guardian God of Candlelight was calm and wise. He was in charge of all the affairs of the Divine Inquisition of Taichu and was the Pope's brain. Candle Guardian God Shadow raised Shadow God, especially Great Lich Ether, and slaughtered the Blood Demon God. And Red-Faced Immortal. Blood and the Great Red Immortal. Red Immortal, Red Immortal. Red Immortal, Red Immortal. Blood. And Red Great Red Immortal, Red Red Immortal. And Blood Blood and Red 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 Red. And Red God. Get to the point. The Pope gritted his teeth and interrupted. Although these 3 subordinates of his were quite capable, they all had small flaws. Candle Guardian God was very smart and capable, but he was also very long-winded. "All right, Pope." Candle Guardian God wasn't annoyed. Instead, he smiled. His long hair fluttered in the wind, revealing his handsome face. The mark on his forehead was very eye-catching. Now that things have come to this, there is no room for negotiation. The Taichu Inquisition has a bad reputation. We can only cut off all means of retreat and use all our strength to kill Lin Feng. The right to speak will always belong to the victor. Pope put his hands behind his back and looked at the psychedelic light vortex in front of him. No one could see through him or guess what he was thinking. However, it was clear that he didn't object to what Candle Guardian God had said. Candle Guardian God had contributed greatly to the Taichu Inquisition, becoming one of the 5 superpowers. He was the Taichu Inquisition's true brain. Pope was the foundation and symbol of the Taichu Inquisition. A majestic aura spread out, and the 13 order-dimensional guardians didn't dare to breathe loudly. Time seemed to stop in Pope's mind. Turning around, Pope's face had changed into another mask of calmness. Sword, candle, drunken. Pope's gaze swept across them, and his voice was cold. Follow me and set off immediately to eradicate the source of trouble. After solving the internal problem, we need to immediately return to the dimensional passage to guard it. Yes, my lord. Sword, candle, and drunken answered in unison. They followed Pope's footsteps and left the Taichu Inquisition, immediately heading to the Emperor Star Field's Emperor Star Field. In Hongmeng, Lin Feng was choosing his reward for becoming a god. The red-faced immortal was a mental cultivator, so his treasures and cultivation methods were what Lin Feng needed. Although he had won the battle with the red-faced immortal easily, it didn't mean that he was weak. He was the ultimate ruler of the universe. In the current Hongmeng Sea, there were only a handful of mental cultivators who were stronger than the red-faced immortal. Even Shirwan Li's teacher, the Khanate Almighty Master of 100 million wheels, paled in comparison to the red-faced immortal. Unfortunately, the red-faced immortal had made a mistake in his strategy during the battle, causing him to be beaten passively and lose miserably. His dragon pattern array is a Hongmeng source item. It's a willpower treasure, and also a Hongmeng source item. Almighty Hongmeng also has many source items. From what Lin Feng could sense, the red-faced immortal had 2 primordial sovereign origin artifacts, more than Great Lich Fei and Blood Devil God Slaughterer. This was especially true for the Dragon Mark formation, which happened to coincide with Lin Feng's use of Great Destruction. Furthermore, the energy of the Mountain Core World Incarnation was immense. Even a World Lord might not be able to break through it. As for his willpower treasure, it was both offensive and defensive. Lin Feng could sense that the red-faced immortal's willpower wasn't any weaker than his. It had also reached the level of a World Lord, allowing the red-faced immortal to unleash more powerful mental cultivator abilities. Unfortunately, these 2 abilities that the red-faced immortal excelled in happened to be countered by Lin Feng. Should he take the treasure or the secret technique? This time, Lin Feng took a long time to decide. Both options could be useful, or they could be of little value. The lower and upper limits were about the same. In view of Blood Devil God Slaughter's slightly scammy reward, Lin Feng wanted to choose the Hongmeng source item on the left this time. If he was unlucky, he could still get a Hongmeng source item. If he was lucky, he could get one of the 2 Hongmeng source items. Lin Feng paused for a long time, unable to make a choice. Let's try again. After pondering for a long time, Lin Feng finally chose the cultivation treasure. The main reason was that the red-faced immortal's 2 Hongmeng source items were limited. Even if he got them, the increase in his strength would be limited. Therefore, Lin Feng was more inclined to the cultivation treasure. Whoosh! The light flashed and disappeared. The moment Lin Feng touched it, he knew that it wasn't a Hongmeng law. It was also a physical object. However, this time, Lin Feng was slightly surprised and smiled. He didn't have much hope, but he did get a decent reward. At least, it made up for the reward for slaughtering the Blood Devil God. Lin Feng smiled and put it into his pocket. Mobile version of the website. Chapter 3121. By * Defying Heart Technique. After leaving Hongmeng, Lin Feng took out the red-faced immortal's reward. It had a silver-white frame and was made of special materials. It was very similar to the by * weapon condensation art that he had obtained as a reward for slaughtering the Blood Devil. The difference was that this was a mental cultivation technique. To be honest, Lin Feng was not that interested in the various aspects of the red-faced immortal's secret cultivation method. However, because he had obtained a set of Ether's notes from the Great Lich Ether, Lin Feng was more interested in the cultivation treasures. After all, he already knew about Hongmeng's source item rewards. There were many unexpected possibilities for cultivation treasures. The by * Defying Heart technique was one such example. If I'm not wrong, this should be a mental cultivation technique of a higher level than the Blue Crystal Lake and Black Crystal Mountain secret techniques. Lin Feng had already mastered the Blue Crystal Lake and Black Crystal Mountain secret technique. However, after transforming into a Hongmeng gold body, his Universe Golden Body and Universe Golden Soul had both reached 100 times, so these two mental cultivation techniques had completely lost their effect. It was not that the Blue Crystal Lake secret techniques were inferior to the Black Crystal Mountain secret techniques, but that Lin Feng possessed too much power. Mental cultivation techniques were like turbines. They could give the cultivator more power in other aspects, but they had to be compatible first. Speaking of which, this defying heart technique and weapon condensation art have the same prefix. Were they both created by a cultivator with the word by in their title? Lin Feng was curious. The two secret techniques were made of the same material, so they must be related. He flipped open the defying heart technique. In an instant, a layer of formless illusory power enveloped Lin Feng and brought him into a state of cultivation. The strange words on the top seemed to have magical powers. He did not need to read too much before the words flowed into his mind. Mental cultivation technique. A very powerful and strange mental cultivation technique. Very quickly, Lin Feng sank into a deep state of cultivation and comprehension. The defying heart sutra might seem ordinary, but it actually contained profound knowledge. At the very least, it required the willpower of a universe ruler to cultivate. Only the will of a world lord can truly unleash the power of the defying heart technique. Lin Feng now understood why the red-faced immortal possessed a Hongmeng source item that could raise one's will. Under normal circumstances, if a cultivator wanted to increase their combat strength, they wouldn't choose will-type Hongmeng origin items. The red-faced immortal was doing this in order to cultivate the defying heart technique. However, a will that is enhanced through external assistance is fundamentally different from one's own will, even if it's at the same level. Lin Feng carefully sensed the defying heart sutra and knew the level of the red-faced immortal. He had not cultivated the defying heart sutra to perfection. If the red-faced immortal is cultivated to the great perfection stage, he'll be able to unleash the power of the Hongmeng golden body even though he's a Hongmeng. I might not be able to win so easily. It suits me. Lin Feng was quite satisfied. Previously, the Black Crystal Mountain secret technique and the Blue Crystal Lake secret technique both used heart force as the foundation. However, the defying heart technique was different. It used willpower as the source and the golden heart force as the supplement. It could forcefully defy one's will and enhance all aspects of a cultivator's abilities, regardless of whether it was the soul or the body. The defying heart technique was an all-around enhancement. This aspect was very compatible with the Hongmeng golden body and was very suitable for combat. The defying heart technique is different from most of the heart cultivation secret techniques in the Hongmeng Sea. It uses willpower as the foundation and is very novel and unique. Could be a world lord. Only when one's willpower reached the level of a world lord could cultivate it. Furthermore, the heart cultivation level was relatively high. Therefore, Lin Feng came to this conclusion. However, the characters are very unique. I've never heard of them before. Lin Feng carefully looked at the unique characters. There was a unique magic power between the lines. The order and structure could easily bring the cultivator into the heart cultivation technique's comprehension. It was very interesting. It wasn't just the defying heart technique. It was the same for the weapon condensation technique. Of course, given Lin Feng's willpower, he could easily resist it if he didn't want to be brought into the cultivation realm. After cultivating the defying heart technique, I might be able to attempt to challenge the 19th Yuan Venerate Divine General, Shi Yuan. On the Yuan Venerate investiture of the gods, the strength of the 19th Yuan Venerate Divine General had already surpassed that of great Shaman Ether, the Blood Demon God, and the Red-Faced Immortal. It was an entire level higher. Shi Yuan was a world lord. There was only one name on his investiture of the gods, Gu Huang. Defeating a world lord wasn't just difficult for a Yuan Venerate. It was also an unattainable peak. Even a universe ruler would find it extremely difficult to defeat a world lord, let alone a Yuan Venerate. Just the suppression of his internal universe was already incredible. However, Lin Feng still had a chance. Furthermore, his goal wasn't just to defeat the 19th Yuan Venerate Divine General, Shi Yuan, but also a magnificent feat that no cultivator on the investiture of the gods had ever achieved. Sweeping through the Yuan Venerate investiture of the gods. The Defying Heart technique would be an extremely powerful super turbine. Focus on cultivation. Lin Feng was a mental cultivator and wasn't unfamiliar with mental cultivation technique. Furthermore, the foundation of the Defying Heart technique was one's willpower. The peculiar runes brought Lin Feng into the world of cultivation and made him undistracted. In a short time, Lin Feng's comprehension of the Defying Heart technique reached small success. Small success of the Defying Heart technique, strengthening by 1-fold. Large success of the Defying Heart technique, strengthening by 10-fold. Large success of the Defying Heart technique, strengthening by 100-fold. If one's willpower wasn't at the level of a world lord, the effect of the Defying Heart technique would only be 10% to 30%. Although the Red-Faced Immortal had the Hongmeng source item to increase his willpower and speed up his cultivation of the Defying Heart technique to the large perfection level, the strengthening effect was only comparable to large success. If he reached the large perfection level, the power of his Hongmeng body would be equivalent to a Hongmeng gold body and his combat strength would be comparable to a world lord. Small success isn't difficult. Lin Feng was confident that he could reach the large perfection level in a short time. However, to fully comprehend it and reach the large perfection level wasn't something that could be done overnight. Once he reached the large perfection level, his Hongmeng gold body would be comparable to a Hongmeng origin body and his combat strength would increase by more than 10-fold. Egio's communication device lit up with a red light. This was a special communication device that Lin Feng had set up. It was from the First Marshal. When there was an extremely important matter, the First Marshal would be able to contact him. That day in the Miluota realm, it was because the First Marshal couldn't contact him that the insect disaster happened. Lin Feng still felt a little guilty about it. Now that the insect disaster hadn't been completely resolved and the army was still fighting on the front lines, Lin Feng still had to be careful to avoid any inconveniences. If the army had any special needs, Lin Feng would naturally help if it was within his capabilities. "What's the matter that's so urgent, Lord Marshal?" Lin Feng answered Egio's communication device and went straight to the point. "I just received accurate information. It's Lin Feng." The First Marshal's voice was calm, but there was a hint of anxiety and worry in it. "The Pope has personally led the 3 protectors to the Imperial Starfield through the teleportation formation." Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Chapter 31-22. Blade shatters the Milky Way is not feeling well. Taking a day off. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 31-23. Pope is back. Are Fan Zhu and the War God back too? Lin Feng asked. The First Marshal was stunned for a moment before he burst into laughter. "You don't seem to be worried at all, Brother Lin Feng. There has to be an end to this." Lin Feng had already prepared himself. He knew the methods of the will of the heavens the best. How could it be so easy? Back then, the Inquisition of Universe 7 had also fought until they ran out of ammunition and food. The Taichu Inquisition was naturally not to be outdone. There would be a battle between him and Pope sooner or later. Do you need help? The first marshal suddenly asked. Lin Feng's heart warmed. No need. Thank you. There was no need for the army to get involved in his matters. However, the first marshal's intentions were very precious. He didn't hesitate to become enemies with the Taichu Inquisition for him. If you can't win, run. Don't force yourself. You're still young, the first marshal said. Fan Zhu and the war god haven't returned yet. This calamity is still ongoing. The situation should be more stable now, so Pope will return. However, he will have to return sooner or later. Lin Feng nodded. He understood what the first marshal meant. If he couldn't win, run. Pope only took some time to come back. It was impossible for him to keep watching him. He still had to return to the land of catastrophe and fight together with Fan Zhu, the war god, and the others. It's lasted for more than 100 eras. What exactly is this calamity? Lin Feng was more interested in the calamity. Not only the Taichu, but the entire Hongmeng Sea was under an invisible pressure. All the top powerhouses in the Hongmeng Sea, including the 5 world masters, were unable to calm this calamity. One could imagine how dangerous it was. It was far above the insectoid. The insectoids were a threat to ordinary cultivators, but to top existences, they were only trouble. They weren't much of a threat. At most, they could just change places to cultivate and live. They wouldn't die. However, a calamity could destroy everything. Unfortunately, there was almost no information about this. Even the first marshal didn't know about it. The situation in the Miluo Tor realm had completely stabilized. The cooperation between the army and the Yao Tua clan, as well as the special effects of the Miluo glacier, had caused the insect race to be unable to continue and be restricted everywhere. However, the situation outside the Miluo Tor realm was not optimistic. It was suspected that a new great expansion insect had been born. But for the time being, as long as nothing happened to the sub-universe, the situation was still in the hands of the 4 superpowers. The insectoids lacked pinnacle power. Lin Feng and the Taichu Inquisition were like fire and water, so he naturally wouldn't help them. Moreover, his current situation wasn't too bad. After chatting for a while, the first marshal congratulated Lin Feng on his impressive achievements on the Yuan Venerate Investiture of the Gods list before ending the call. Calculating the time, Pope and the 3 protectors should be arriving soon. The first Grand Marshal hoped that Lin Feng would set up a path of retreat and leave the Imperial Starfield to fight. That way, he would have a greater chance of success and would be able to advance and retreat freely. But Lin Feng didn't want to do that. They were going to fight in the Emperor's Starfield. They were going to fight in front of everyone on the Emperor's Star. Just as Second Brother said, the Taichu Inquisition will always be a problem. We should try our best to solve it. Even if we can't, we should at least make things worse for them and make things difficult for them. There was no need to be merciful to the enemy. Furthermore, the Taichu Inquisition had even mobilized the Pope this time. They had already thrown caution to the wind. Let's have a real showdown and see whose bones are harder and whose fists are stronger. Whoosh! Lin Feng's figure flashed and appeared in the sky above the Lin mansion. He stood in the void and released his aura without hiding anything. He closed his eyes and focused his mind. Snow Jewel was in his hand and it rang loudly. His aura was majestic, as if he had entered a mirror. Around Lin Feng, there were already countless cultivators who had come because of his reputation. They longed to see the idol in their hearts. Now that Lin Feng had appeared, his aura spread out, instantly causing the many admirers to be overjoyed. It's Senior Lin Feng. I see Senior Lin Feng. I'm so touched that I can see him alive. Senior Lin Feng is indeed in the Lin mansion. I'm so touched. I'm in tears. This is Senior Lin Feng's extraordinary aura. He defeated Huang Zun's investiture of the gods and the Supreme God's investiture of the gods. He's too strong. Looking from afar, I can feel his domineering aura. I'm so happy to finally see my idol. My wish has come true. What is Senior Lin Feng doing? Is he going to spar? No, it doesn't look like a spar. Sense it carefully. Senior Lin Feng's battle intent is hiding a bit of killing intent. If it's a spar, it shouldn't be like this. Yes, a spar should be in the arena. Everyone should compete in harmony. Senior Lin Feng's current behavior is more like a challenge. Who dares to challenge Senior Lin Feng? Is he overestimating himself? Really, there are all kinds of demons and ghosts. Senior Lin Feng has won so much face for the Taichu. Now, when the cultivators of the other origin chaotic universe see us, they are all envious. There are actually cultivators who want to challenge the hero of the Taichu. Bah. So King Shameless. I want to see who is so despicable, shameless, and pretentious. Pairs of angry and jealous eyes stared at the sky. Many cultivators rushed over from all over the Emperor's Star. Lin Feng's appearance had caused a sensation. Now, countless newcomers had come to the Emperor's Star because of Lin Feng's reputation. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100, and the news spread extremely fast. Cultivators arrived one after another and gathered at the side, whispering to each other. No one disturbed Lin Feng, nor would they disturb him at such a time. Lin Feng's aura was surging violently, containing traces of killing intent. With the golden wool bestowed upon him, even powerful existences would find it hard to approach him. He was fully prepared for battle. Here they come. Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes, and his great world avatar spread out with a bang. The tyrannical aura of a universe dominator permeated the air, and he had the absolute home field advantage. In the distance, 4 figures rushed over, and one of them was very familiar. It was Drunken Guardian God, full of anger and hatred, clenching his teeth. As for the other 3, one of them was very similar to Drunken Guardian God. He had a thin body and a cold smile on his face. He had a pointy nose and no eyebrows. A pair of purple eyes flashed with wisdom as he stared curiously at Lin Feng. Beside him was a man filled with murderous intent. His entire being was shrouded in murderous intent. He was like an unsheathed sword, unstoppable. His red battle armor seemed to have condensed the blood of all his enemies. He looked over coldly with undisguised murderous intent. The 3 protectors of the Taichu Inquisition were Sword Killer, Drunken, and Candle. In front of the 3 was a man in a long black robe. He wore a cold and calm mask, and his hands were behind his back. His aura was deeply hidden within his body, but it gave off an incomparably terrifying feeling. It was like an insurmountable mountain. His existence made everything around him pale in comparison. Ruler. He had an unparalleled dignity and a domineering aura that looked down on everything. Pope. Chapter 31-24. What a cunning human! Under the Pope's calm mask, there was a hint of anger on his face. He had already sensed that something was amiss before he had even entered the Emperor's Star. As expected, he saw Lin Feng hovering in the sky and waiting for them quietly when he arrived at the Lin Mansion. Not only had he not run away, but he had also attracted a large crowd of cultivators. There were tens of thousands of them. The Pope didn't hide his tracks this time. He wanted to force Lin Feng to run as far away as possible. If they fought in the universe, the impact on the absolute beginning Divine Inquisition would be much smaller. It wouldn't be like the Drunken Guardian God from before. Even if he won, he would still be defeated. If he lost, the absolute beginning Divine Inquisition would lose all face. Who would have thought that Lin Feng would not be fooled? It's the Taichu Inquisition again. They are here to deal with Senior Lin Feng again. How despicable! Yuan, who was hiding among the cultivators, shouted angrily. In an instant, a group of cultivators who were still a little dumbfounded were enraged. Yeah, it's happening again and again. How disgusting! The despicable Taichu Inquisition is here again. Go back to where you came from. You are not welcome here. You actually have the cheek to come again after your previous sneak attack failed. The great Pope is bullying a Yuan Venerate. How shameless! And you call yourself a superpower? You are fishing for compliment. How shameful! Go to hell. Taichu Inquisition. The flames of anger were ignited in an instant. Once someone took the lead, it would spread like a single spark starting a prairie fire. In addition to the fact that the Absolute Beginning Divine Judgment Office had a criminal record, it caused the blood of the cultivators who supported Lin Feng to boil. In an instant, the Taichu Inquisition became a target of scorn. Whoosh! Pope's face turned pale. Fortunately, he had a mask to hide it. As the Emperor of the Taichu Inquisition, he had countless believers and countless followers. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Moreover, it was in front of everyone. Trembling with anger, Pope gnashed his teeth as he glared at Lin Feng. He wished he could tear Lin Feng into pieces. All of this had been set up by this little Yuan Venerate. Lin Feng, come with us. The candlelight guardian god smiled. He was unaffected by the public opinion. Cut the crap. Come at me together. Lin Feng replied indifferently, ignoring the candlelight guardian god. The golden power of Hongmeng swirled around him. There was no need to talk nonsense with the Taichu Inquisition. Let's just fight. If you can defeat me, you can do whatever you want with me. Humph! Pope's black robe opened wide, and the aura that he had been suppressing suddenly exploded. His calm mask had unknowingly turned into a mask of anger. His eyes were wide open in anger, and he looked like a majestic lion. I alone am enough to deal with you. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, it was naturally impossible for the Pope to attack Lin Feng together with the three great protectors. If that was the case, the Absolute Beginning Divine Inquisition would truly lose all face in the Mi, or Ice River, even though this was what he had planned to do before. The Sword Killer Guardian God was only slightly weaker than him. The three Guardian Gods also had a set of combined array formation that was rather powerful. If Lin Feng fell into it, the Pope would definitely be able to capture and kill Lin Feng. But now our Pope couldn't do that. Don't be so arrogant. Pope used the Almighty's Hongmeng source item, Demon-Destroying Earth, as a strange light appeared. There were so many onlookers around, so he had to end the battle quickly and not give Lin Feng any chance. Lin Feng had consecutively defeated Great Lich Ether, slaughtered the Blood Demon God, and the red-faced immortal on the Yuan Venerate's investiture of the gods. However, challenging the investiture of the gods was one thing, and a real battle with real swords and spears was another. The investiture of the gods could understand the weaknesses of divine generals and attack them. Furthermore, Pope was the ultimate ruler of the universe. He had joined forces with the three guardian gods to ensure that nothing went wrong. However, even if he was alone, Pope was confident that he could capture and kill Lin Feng. How could he be worthy of the title Pope if he couldn't even take down a mere Yuan Venerate? Demon-Destroying Earth. Pope's Hongmeng source item was very compatible with his own abilities. This was a very small Hongmeng source item with a diameter of less than 100 meters. However, the smaller a Hongmeng source item was, the more concentrated its power was. This was the case with Demon-Destroying Earth. Boom! Pope had relied on his indestructible iron fists to make a name for himself in the Taichu. He had a super-universe body and was well-rounded in both offense and defense. He wasn't any weaker than the Blood Demon God that Lin Feng had defeated. However, if the Blood Demon God encountered the Pope, he would definitely be defeated. There was a huge difference in the boundary, treasures, and power of both parties. The Blood Demon God could only be considered an ordinary ultimate ruler of the universe, while Pope was a relatively strong ultimate ruler of the universe. It was extremely difficult to improve one's strength while being trapped in the investiture of the god's space. However, in the Hongmeng Ocean, Pope's boundary was constantly improving, even if he couldn't surpass the difference in strength. What a powerful fist technique! Lin Feng only felt that Pope's ordinary fist technique had returned to its original state. He had broken through his small realm incarnation with a single step, using a single point to break the surface. Its power was extremely concentrated. His Hongmeng source item focused on himself and didn't restrict his opponent. Like a ferocious beast hunting its prey, he closed in step by step, not giving his opponent any breathing room. Just nice, I can test out my newly mastered Hongmeng source item. Although Lin Feng was in a passive position, he didn't panic at all. He had originally planned to use his newly mastered Hongmeng source item in the battle with the red-faced immortal, but he didn't use it, which made Lin Feng feel a little regretful. The red-faced immortal was speechless. Is it my fault? 100 million wheels, 8 front array diagram. This was the earliest Hongmeng source item that Lin Feng had obtained, but it was also the latest to master. It originated from the Khanate Almighty Master of 100 million wheels, and it was one of the 3 Hongmeng source items he had. A domain-type Hongmeng source item. This was a Hongmeng source item derived from the ancient 8 trigrams of the Book of Changes. It could be used for both offense and defense. After obtaining it, the Master of 100 million wheels had painstakingly researched it until it became his signature treasure. Qian, Kun, Zhen, Sun, Kan, Li, Zhen, and Dui. The 8 worlds turned into 8 strange symbols, as if a light blue flame was burning. In the middle, the 8 trigrams light was faintly discernible. It was a Tai Chi diagram. The 8 strange symbols spun rapidly, and the black and white Tai Chi diagram was even clearer. An inexplicably powerful force emerged along with the 8 trigrams. Boom! With Lin Feng as the center, the Pope was instantly brought into the million wheels 8 front formation matrix. This was an extremely huge matrix that concealed 8 worlds. The area of the matrix was vast and boundless, and 100,000 miles of it came from one of the worlds. Qian. Kun. Lin Feng's golden Hongmeng power condensed, and instantly unleashed the 100 million wheels 8 front formations 2 abilities. Qian was void and Kun was illusion. When combined, it was illusory. Qian Kun was illusory, and the stars moved. Layers of illusions fell on Pope. Black and white light condensed within, and the 8 trigrams combined with the golden Hongmeng power showed its power. Chapter 31-25. What an intense battle! So he's the Pope of the Taichu Inquisition. He's strong, but his character isn't that good. I hope Senior Lin Feng can win. We can't let the Taichu Inquisition succeed. Even if we have to risk our lives, we won't let the Taichu Inquisition kill Senior Lin Feng. The current Emperor's Star was different from the past. After Lin Feng settled down in the Emperor's Star, the young experts of the younger generation came one after another under the Tianqing Star Lord's unbridled promotion. Humans had a herd mentality. Cultivators had the same mentality. Lin Feng's charisma was huge, and he was chased by a group of new cultivators. To put it bluntly, the young cultivators might not know the army god or Fan Zhu, but they definitely knew Lin Feng. The cultivators surrounding Lin Feng's mansion were also loyal to Lin Feng. If anything happened to Lin Feng, they would fight the Taichu Inquisition to the death. Of course, with their strength, it was undoubtedly an egg hitting a rock. Any one of the 3 guardian gods could easily control the situation. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. This little guy's strength now is much stronger than when he was in the Miluo realm. In the crowd, a man in a green robe with lightning around his body clicked his tongue as he looked at the battle in the sky. His eyes were like torches. Although he hid his strength, his temperament was still outstanding, and he was incomparably eye-catching among the cultivators. Looks like I'm not needed, haha, the green-robed man chuckled. He was the second marshal who had fought side by side with Lin Feng. After the situation in the Miluo realm was stabilized, he returned to the Taichu realm and guarded the star wheel. After that, He received a message from the first marshal and rushed to the Emperor's star to see if there was anything he could help Lin Feng with. Although Lin Feng was not a member of the army, he had gained a group of comrades from the insect disaster in Miluota territory. In the army, in the battle of iron and blood, everyone fought side by side and lived and died together. Lin Feng had made many outstanding contributions in quelling the insect disaster and was deeply trusted by the marshals of the army. Now that he was in trouble, they would naturally help him. But it's worth it to be able to witness such an exciting battle. The second marshal didn't look away. The battle above him had reached its climax. Although the three guardians didn't participate in the battle, Pope's abilities were still top-notch. He was only slightly weaker than the military god. It's about to explode. Pope's heavenly imperial fist. Boom. The sound was deafening. It was a pair of fists that flashed with dazzling light. The light contained the rich heavenly Tao, forming a sea of heavenly Tao and the laws of Hongmeng. Pope, who was suppressed by Lin Feng's 100 million wheels 8-front formation and the mountain core world, was finally forced to use his full strength. He didn't expect Lin Feng to be so strong. Because his internal universe is weak, he accumulated all kinds of domain treasures and furiously strengthened his internal universe. That's smart. Pope used the star step. The landing point of each step was very strange, forming a star painting in the sky. As the starlight on his fists shone brightly, Pope was like an existence of the heavenly Tao, illuminating the sky. As long as a cultivator raised their head, they would be able to see the evolution of the heavenly Tao clearly. This was the Emperor of the Taichu Inquisition. Boom, boom, boom. Every punch of the Pope could shatter a small world incarnation. At this moment, he was the center of attention, like the brightest star in the universe. The heavenly axiom was condensed, and the illusion of the million wheels 8-front formation diagram no longer worked on him. Lotuses bloomed with every step, and he instantly switched from defense to offense. There's no other way. My cultivation level in the 100 million wheels 8-front formation is still too low. Lin Feng gave up on controlling the 100 million wheels 8-front formation. This was the first origin item of the Hongmeng ruler, and he still couldn't unleash its full power in his hands. At most, it only had 10% of its power. With the power of 8 worlds, Lin Feng had only cultivated Qian and Kuan. The other 6 formations were still far away. There was too little time. Lin Feng spent most of his time on his self-created secret technique, as well as a part of the Defiant Heart Sutra. Defiant Heart Sutra. This was the first time Lin Feng used the Defiant Heart Sutra in a real battle. This was a reward from the red-faced immortal. Lin Feng estimated that other than himself, no one else could use this secret technique. After all, only 3 people had defeated the red-faced immortal. Of the 2 world lords, one was the invincible emperor of the Hongmeng Sea. Even if they also chose to cultivate treasures, the possibility of obtaining the Defiant Heart Sutra wasn't high. However, there was no doubt about the power of this secret technique. It could make the red-faced immortal's Hongmeng body almost comparable to the Hongmeng gold body. The comprehensive enhancement effect was even more terrifying than the Hongmeng ruler's origin item. Willpower as the origin, Defiant Heart, rise. The golden willpower enveloped the universe in his body. Lin Feng's mental cultivation power erupted instantly. At this moment, the golden willpower seemed to be burning. The cultivation of Defiant Heart caused Lin Feng to enter a strange state. The Hongmeng gold body was instantly strengthened to the max. The universe golden body and universe golden soul, which were originally at the limit of 100 times, suddenly doubled. Lin Feng faced Pope's heavenly Tao imperial fist head-on. Boom! 30 layers of destruction. Despite the explosive increase in power, he still couldn't gain the upper hand against Pope. He only managed to push the Pope back. Lin Feng had just cultivated the Defiant Heart Sutra not long ago. He was only at the small success stage, so the comprehensive enhancement effect was only doubled. At the large success stage, it could be strengthened tenfold. At the large success stage, it could be strengthened 100-fold. Pope was speechless. He had actually been pushed back? He had been pushed back by a unvenerate brat. This brat's close combat ability is almost comparable to that of the underworld kill race's Hell Master. Pope's eyes sparkled, and his footsteps were even more dazzling. He faintly stirred up the rhythm of the sky, and a layer of invisible power was sublimating. Unfortunately, this isn't a dimensional passage. It's in the Taichu. You don't have any chance of winning. The Universe God of Universe 7's Divine Inquisition could be bestowed and enhanced by the sky's will in Universe 7. The Taichu Inquisition's order-dimensional master, guardian deity, and Pope could also be bestowed and enhanced by the sky's will. However, their strength was already very strong, so the enhancement effect of the sky's will wasn't decisive. It was roughly equivalent to the enhancement effect of a Hongmeng's source item. Even so, this was already enough. In a contest between powerhouses, the more power one had, the more likely the outcome would be. Back then, the drunken wine guardian deity had been assisted by the sky's will but still hadn't been a match for Lin Feng because the disparity between them had been too great. Pope's strength was already one of the best among the ultimate universe rulers. With the enhancement of the sky's will, he was even more invincible. Now, he was comparable to the Taichu's ultimate universe rulers, the army god, who had the best combat strength. Let's end this. Endless starlight gathered resplendently, as if it had absorbed all the power in the surrounding space and contained the ultimate sky's will. As soon as Pope's punch was launched, it directly penetrated Lin Feng's dual domain control and crushed everything. Starlight condensed. However, not only did Lin Feng not avoid it, but he also faced it head-on. He faced it head-on. Chapter 31:26. Everyone's eyes focused on him. Time seemed to stop at that moment. Everyone, including the three guardian deities, stared at this scene with their eyes wide open. The heavenly thunder stirred up the earthly fire. The Pope's fist seemed to be punching out on behalf of the will of the heavens. 120% of the heavenly imperial fist's power was displayed, but at the moment of contact, he felt the will of the heavens waver. What kind of power is this? As soon as the two forces collided, the Pope felt that something was wrong. There was a strange energy mixed in Lin Feng's attack that was corroding the Pope's power, directly devouring and tearing apart his attack power. Boom! Power radiated in all directions. The 100,000,000 wheel 8 front formation shook violently as the mountain core realm embodiment unleashed an astonishing power. A total of 50 layers of destruction condensed to make up for Lin Feng's lack of energy. The worm merged with the power of the golden Hongmeng and took on Pope's strongest attack head-on. Boom! 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 Explosions sounded continuously. Lin Feng was like a god of war descending to the mortal world. The moment he forced Pope back, his small realm embodiments connected to the 100,000,000 wheel 8 front formation. This did not require any energy control. Pope's expression changed as he retreated and blocked the attack. This was practically his strongest punch. Furthermore, the power of the Hongmeng's source item, the Royal Dipper Fist, was fully unleashed. However, he still could not gain the upper hand. The power of Lin Feng's attack was beyond his imagination. Lin Feng still had the energy to launch a series of attacks after clashing head-on with him. This shocked him even more. The energy of a Yuan Venerate was so terrifying, very strong. The three guardian deities were also dumbfounded. They knew Pope's strength best. His close combat ability was strong, and with the help of the will of the heavens, he would not lose out to anyone except Fan Zhu. Even the ultimate universe master of the Taichu, the war god, who was known as the strongest Taichu, would have to avoid Pope's attack in a head-on battle. However, a mere Yuan Venerate had now repelled Pope. This is impossible. The sword protector frowned. He who worshipped Pope trembled as his faith wavered. His domain treasure is a little strange. The candlelight guardian god narrowed its eyes and stared at Lin Feng's mountain core world incarnation. There is a gap in the energy as if, that's not right. This domain treasure has its own form. It feels familiar. Motherf ****. This brat is even stronger than when he fought me. The drunken guardian god felt his chest tighten. He picked up the gourd at his waist and poured the contents into his mouth. Thunderous shouts could be heard from below. These ordinary cultivators naturally didn't understand much, but Lin Feng had the upper hand and forced the Pope to retreat. Seeing his idol display his invincible might and force the famed fishing Pope to retreat again and again, Lin Feng's heart was filled with joy. Kill him! Don't let him return alive! What Taichu Inquisition! A bunch of bullies! Go for it, Senior Lin Feng! Ha 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 ha! From today onwards, the Taichu Inquisition will be removed from the list of the 5 superpowers. Too weak. Senior Lin Feng alone can defeat the Taichu Inquisition. All sorts of voices rang out. Pope naturally couldn't hear them at the moment, but Lin Feng's overbearing aura, strange energy, and tyrannical close combat ability had deeply shocked him. Pope rarely lost and was almost invincible in the Taichu. Even the army god wouldn't be afraid of him unless they fought in the dimensional passageway. When a cultivator's strongest point was destroyed, the psychological blow was far more severe than the physical injury. Pope wasn't injured, but his confidence had been shaken. Ether Soul Breaker. Lin Feng followed up with another attack. His miniature world incarnation continued to attack, not giving Pope any breathing space. In a split second, his strongest spiritual shock rumbled out. Golden Hongmeng energy erupted, and insect manifestations strange and powerful might struck towards Pope's weak spot. Bang! His will, which was already wavering, shook even more violently at this moment. What? Pope's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. He had never imagined that Lin Feng would use spiritual shock. The defense of his internal universe was completely ineffective. His sole defensive treasure was like a giant pagoda, firmly protecting him. In terms of defensive treasures, Pope was naturally not inferior. However, that strange and powerful energy appeared once again, devouring and tearing at his energy. It wasn't attacking or defending, but devouring his energy. It was too strange. Lin Feng's insect manifestation had been upgraded. In a battle, especially in an evenly matched battle, upgrading was the fastest. Although it was still some distance away from the second step, Great Transformation, it was undoubtedly much stronger than the first time he used it. The strange and special restraining effect of the insect race was slowly being released. Furthermore, the fusion with the golden Hongmeng energy was gradually reaching perfection, allowing him to control it freely. Chi. Pope felt his sole defensive treasure being eaten away, like countless termites gnawing at a wooden stake. It was on the verge of collapse, and even the soul in his enormous soul sea was trembling. Once his sole defensive treasure was lost, how was he going to defend himself? The addition of the will of the Heavenly Tao could make his Heavenly Tao Imperial Fist more perfect and powerful, but it couldn't defend against the soul attack. Pope, whose will had already been shaken, had an ugly expression on his face. He was in a state of chaos. In his eyes, this human brat was nothing special, but now, he was as unreachable as the primordial dual polarity tower. Unfathomable. Damn it! Pope's footsteps changed continuously, and the starlight was dazzling. In the blink of an eye, a star map appeared. Upon closer inspection, this Heavenly Tao star map contained extreme mysteries. 1008 starlight spots gathered the Hongmeng energy, and the will of the Heavenly Tao transformed into Hongmeng laws. Endless starlight gathered, and Pope's figure stopped in the middle of the star map. He was incomparably bright, and his cold gaze locked onto Lin Feng. He was filled with resentment and anger, and his body turned into starlight and dissipated into the void. Lin Feng's soul attack was suddenly interrupted, and he lost his target. All the Hongmeng energy seemed to have penetrated the starlight and fell into the endless sea of stars. Lin Feng's heart moved, and the energy instantly returned. At this moment, the starlight was hidden in the heavenly Tao Hongmeng, and Pope's figure had already disappeared. However, Pope's gaze seemed to have stopped at that moment. It was as if he was telling Lin Feng, "I will be back. If you want to kill me, this is actually the best chance." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He was not considered strong now, and all his aspects were in the initial stages of improvement, including the heart-defying secret technique, insect emergence, and soul attack. If Pope used all his strength and did not care about his reputation, and attacked together with the three guardian gods, it was still uncertain who would win. Unfortunately, he cherished his reputation too much. There won't be a next time. Lin Feng looked into the distance. The moment Pope used the star map to escape, the three guardian gods had already slipped away. Even Pope had escaped, so what was the point of them staying here? To be a target? The next time we meet, I will be stronger than now. Much stronger. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31-27. At the entrance of the Miluo realm, a green-faced man with 4 arms and a golden tail controlled the entire universe. He calmed down the insect disaster. The army and the Yaotuo race cooperated well, shrinking the territory of the insect race bit by bit. You won. The first marshal was stunned when he received the news from the second marshal. The Taichu Inquisition went all out this time and even sent out Pope. Yet they still lost? Although the first marshal was on Lin Feng's side, he didn't think that Lin Feng would be able to survive this calamity. If not, he wouldn't have asked the second marshal to help him. He didn't expect Lin Feng to give him such a huge surprise. "Little fellow, you've hidden your strength well." The first marshal smiled happily. He was in a good mood. Brother Lin Feng seems to have improved a lot in the past 100 eras. You've left me far behind. The last time they met, the first marshal was confident that he could win against Lin Feng. But now, even Pope lost. The first marshal naturally didn't think that he was stronger than Pope. In reality, the first marshal had sparred with the sword killer guardian before. Their strength was on par with each other. Pope was on the same level as the army god. He was far from what the first marshal could compare to. Speaking of which, Pope went all out with the help of the will of the heavens. Even the army god was wary of him in the Taichu realm. Is Lin Feng that strong now? The first marshal pursed his lips. He still couldn't believe it. Or did Pope get injured when he was defending against the calamity? The first marshal let out a long sigh. He nodded slightly and revealed a satisfied smile. No matter what, it's a happy thing for you to survive this calamity. Although the Taichu Inquisition might not give up this failure, it's so satisfying. The army and the Taichu Inquisition didn't get along well. The army was guarding the chaotic universe of the Taichu origin. The Taichu Inquisition claimed to be the guardian of the will of the heavenly path. They seemed to be the same, but there were subtle differences. The relationship between them and their positions had always been tense. Seeing the Taichu Inquisition being defeated, especially Pope, the first marshal felt extremely satisfied. This failure would be a serious blow to the reputation of the Taichu Inquisition. Well done. That's great, Senior Lin Feng. Ha 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 ha. Once his reputation is gone, what Taichu Inquisition? What invincible Pope? Didn't he run away with his tail between his legs? Despicable and shameless Taichu Inquisition, bullying others with your power. Serves you right. Senior Lin Feng won cleanly. Isn't he just an ultimate universe master? Pope? Haha, he's from the previous generation. Who in this generation can compare to Senior Lin Feng? He's overestimating himself. The Black Death Taichu Inquisition. What bullsh asterisk T guardian of the will of the heavenly path. Listen to their nonsense. This kind of character, this kind of strength, should have been replaced long ago. I support Senior Lin Feng to establish a sect and create a force to replace the Taichu Inquisition. Long live Senior Lin Feng. Awesome. All the cultivators were in an uproar. Watching Lin Feng fight in the apotheosized space and watching Lin Feng fight in the real world were two completely different feelings. That kind of immersive feeling, the direct fluctuations of energy and every moment hit their hearts. Originally, they had all come for Lin Feng and supported Lin Feng. In their eyes, Pope and the Taichu Inquisition were complete villains. Seeing Lin Feng defeat Pope with their own eyes, their emotions completely exploded at the last moment. It was incomparably satisfying. I need to hurry up and increase my strength. Lin Feng knew that after Pope failed this time, there would definitely be another attack. More accurately, Pope's attack this time could not be considered a failure. Until the end, his soul attack still did not break through Pope's soul defense treasure. Pope was not injured. It was just that he had overestimated this battle and thought that he could easily kill him. However, reality had given him a heavy blow, causing his fighting spirit to wither. Moreover, the Pope might have other things to do, so he did not try his best to fight him. Is it because of the calamity? This was the only possibility Lin Feng could think of. Until now, he still could not sense Fan Zhu. Although Pope had returned, the war god and Fan Zhu had not returned. According to the first marshal, the calamity was still ongoing. This was a calamity that affected the entire Hongming Sea. It was far more terrifying than the insect plague. Once it erupted, no one would be spared. Compared to that level of calamity, he could only be considered a small internal conflict. However, even if he continued to fight, Pope would not be able to kill him. Instead, his soul would be injured. This would greatly affect his strength. Thus, he decided to leave and look for another opportunity. It was a smart choice. However, with Second Brother's personality, he probably won't let the Taichu Inquisition go so easily. Lin Feng's gaze landed on the group of cultivators. He instantly found his second brother, Shi Wanli. At that moment, he was whispering to the Bering Star Lord. They seemed to be discussing something. When 100,000 Miles saw him looking at him, he grinned and blinked. The Bering Star Lord also followed Shi Wanli's gaze and looked over. He gave him a thumbs up with a look of respect. Let them be. Lin Feng naturally would not care about such trivial matters. The battle with Pope had also made him realize many things. Such a battle between cultivators of the same level usually gave him great benefit. Whoosh! Lin Feng's figure flashed as he returned to the Lin mansion and went into seclusion. While the feeling of the battle was still clear in his mind, the scene was reflected in his eyes. This was the best time to go into seclusion. Compared to the jubilant atmosphere on the Emperor's Star, the Taichu Inquisition was lifeless. The divine officials and grand divine officials did not even dare to breathe loudly. The news spread extremely quickly, especially since this battle had taken place on the Emperor's Star under the watchful eyes of everyone. Their faith, the master of the Taichu Inquisition, the invincible Pope. He had actually been defeated? Unbelievable. Many cultivators of the Taichu Inquisition had joined because they admired the Pope. They had personally witnessed the fall of a legend. The Pope had been defeated by a rising star, Lin Feng, who was only a Yuan venerate. Their hearts were pierced. Divine light condensed in the Pope's hand, and Hongmeng nomological laws appeared. The black-robed Pope wore an angry mask and his breathing was chaotic. The 3 guardian deities and the 13 ordered dimensional masters did not dare to make a sound for fear of angering the Pope. They knew very well that this defeat could be considered a disgrace. I have not lost. The Pope's voice was low as his vigorous aura enveloped the entire place. If the 3 of us had joined forces, it would have been enough to break Lin Feng's domain. At that time, Sir would have been able to capture and kill him. The sword guardian deity was full of murderous intent and was unwilling to accept this loss. Sir is considering the overall situation and does not want to affect the calamity. The candlelight guardian deity timely eased the atmosphere. Neither side will gain anything from fighting Lin Feng. It would be better to think at length before making a decision. Lin Feng is not without weaknesses. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31:28. Oh, what do you mean? Pope turned around and put on a calm mask. The candlelight guardian god smiled as his long hair fluttered in the wind. The candlelight mark on his forehead was very eye-catching. I watched the entire battle between Lord Pope and Lin Feng. I didn't miss a single detail. During the battle, Lin Feng, get to the point. Pope had put on an angry mask at some point in time. This subordinate of his was intelligent and far-sighted. He had a clear view of the entire situation and was the most helpful of the three guardian gods. The only thing that gave him a headache was that he was too talkative. The candlelight guardian god brushed his hair and didn't get angry. I have 3 plans to deal with Lin Feng. His casual words were enough to show his confidence. Pope wasn't the only one who was shocked. The Order enforcers and the other 2 guardian gods were also astonished. The candlelight guardian god actually had 3 plans to deal with an enemy that even Lord Pope couldn't deal with? Tell me quickly. Pope put on a happy mask. The candlelight guardian god's smile concealed his killing intent. Pope, you should know that this person can't be left alive. Not only does the will of the heavenly great path want to eliminate him, but he is also at odds with the Taichu Inquisition. He is already so strong even though he is only a Yuan Venerate. Once he breaks through and becomes an almighty, he will be able to match up to Fanzu. When that time comes, it won't be us dealing with him, but him dealing with us. Nonsense. Pope was getting a little impatient. He had done so much to kill Lin Feng. Was he trying to recruit him? The candlelight guardian god said, the Taichu Inquisition has always been on good terms with the Taichu Inquisition, Taiji Inquisition, and Tai Inquisition. Although we aren't on the same side, now that we are in trouble, as long as Lord Pope is willing to, no. Pope gritted his teeth and interrupted, even if I die, I won't beg those bastards. The candlelight guardian god looked at the Pope and said, what's the harm in holding back for a while? My lord, this is the best plan. With the combined strength of my lords, killing a mere Lin Feng will be a piece of cake. This is especially true for Tai Pope, whose strength has already reached the threshold of the Lord of a World. He is the most, next. Pope glared angrily and roared like a lion. The candlelight guardian god sighed. He knew Pope's temperament, so he coughed twice to ease the atmosphere. Sir, did you feel anything strange when you fought with Lin Feng? Strange? Lin Feng's strange energy instantly appeared in Pope's mind. It was obviously not stronger than his, but it seemed to be able to restrain his energy and tear it apart. His energy is very strange. The candlelight guardian god's eyes lit up. Is it similar to one of the energies we fought before? Are you referring to? Pope mumbled. The bug race's energy. The candlelight guardian god had a special talent that allowed him to sense energy very clearly. In fact, his perception was even better than Pope's. If it wasn't for the bug race's energy, you would have won this battle. No wonder it's so familiar. Pope had a sudden realization. He had indeed fought with the bug race before, but that had been countless years ago, and he had never fought with the big yen bug before. Thus, he didn't know how powerful the high-level bug race was. Now that the candlelight guardian god mentioned it, that was indeed the case. It was very similar. His battle with the bug race is full of doubt. Even a huge army couldn't do anything to the bug race. How could a mere Yuan Venerate like him know about the bug race and control the overall situation? Don't you think it strange, my lord? The candlelight guardian god's eyes flickered. Although we don't have any evidence, we can still confirm that Lin Feng is a spy based on the many suspicious points and the public's opinions. When that happens, his reputation will plummet, and we will be able to find a good opportunity. Wonderful! Pope nodded his head repeatedly. This was a brilliant plan. Regardless of whether it succeeded or not, Lin Feng's reputation would be greatly weakened. For the Taichu Inquisition, there were only advantages and no disadvantages. And if it succeeded, Lin Feng would not be able to escape this calamity. So what if it's a bad plan? Pope asked again. A bad plan. The candlelight guardian god squinted his eyes and chuckled. Isn't Lin Feng a Taichu hero? Now that the Hongmeng Sea is facing a great calamity, don't you think it's a little unreasonable for a Taichu hero like him to hide in the Taichu Sea? Moral coercion. The drunken guardian god shook his head in disdain of the candlelight guardian god's method. However, in all fairness, no matter which plan it would at least produce a certain effect. The candlelight guardian god was worthy of being the chief strategist of the Taichu Inquisition. However, when had the Taichu Inquisition been reduced to using such a method to deal with a practitioner? Sigh. The drunken guardian god picked up the wine bottle at his waist and got drunk to relieve his worries. While the Taichu Inquisition was racking their brains to discuss how to deal with Lin Feng was already in seclusion. In fact, Lin Feng did not care about how the outside world evaluated him. Strength determined everything. Lin Feng knew that the current crisis was very dangerous. Whether it was himself or the calamity of the Hongmeng Sea, he needed to be strong. Moreover, he was not alone. His internal universe had moved the entire Milky Way inside. If he died, it was equivalent to the Milky Way dying too. In Universe 7, Lin Feng also had many friends. There was the eldest senior brother, the second senior brother, and the brothers and sisters of the 7th Mercenary Alliance. Therefore, on that day, he stepped forward bravely to fight against the Zerg. When the Taichu encountered a calamity, it was difficult for him to stay out of it alone. When the Hongmeng Sea encountered a calamity, he could not escape it either. I wonder when there will be news about the calamity of the Hongmeng Sea. Lin Feng wanted to participate in it now, but there was no source of information. Even the first marshal did not know. The more it was like this, the more serious this calamity was. The higher-ups of the 5 superpowers knew about the Zerg calamity, but ordinary practitioners did not. However, this time, even the higher-ups of the 5 superpowers did not know about it. There was a feeling that a storm was coming. In an unknown area, the strong practitioners of the Hongmeng Sea seemed to be suffering and doing their best. For 100 eras, Fan Zhu had not been seen. Do your best and leave the rest to fate. Lin Feng let out a long breath and entered the state of enlightenment again. Combining the enlightenment of the Zerg calamity with the battle with Pope, Lin Feng had already memorized everything. Next, he comprehended the second level of the Great Change. This was a secret technique that Lin Feng created himself, and only he could use it, because Lin Feng had absorbed the Big Yen insect black, and because his internal universe was perfect, he could change the structure of all kinds of energy. The Zerg calamity was the power of 2 different types of energy. The Great Change was the power of 2 different types of energy, and at the same time, 100% of the power was released. To achieve this, the key was to fuse 2 different types of dimensional energy. During the battle with Pope, Lin Feng had a flash of inspiration. Therefore, after the battle, he immediately went into seclusion. As long as he mastered the second level of the secret technique, the Great Change, Lin Feng was confident that his strength would increase by several times. At that time, when he faced Pope again, they would not be evenly matched. He would be completely defeated. Chapter 31-29. Nether Kill World, at the intersection of the 9 hells. 9 black chains that were millions of miles long stood tall. Below them was the boiling nether kill lava. The black and red flames crazily shot up as if they could devour everything. For countless eras, the 9 black chains had been refined by the lava, but they were not damaged at all. Instead, they became purer and more solid. In the center of the 9 black chains, there was a concave area with a diameter of 1,000 meters, as if someone had punched it. On this concave area there was a huge golden-black cocoon, standing there ferociously. The surface of the cocoon was scaly like the skin of the demon race. Dense golden patterns covered the black cocoon, as if they were sealing the power of the giant cocoon. The giant cocoon alone took up 90% of the 1,000-meter diameter of the ground. It stood tall, and from afar, it looked like 9 black chains were locking this giant golden-black cocoon. At this moment, beside the giant cocoon, 3 figures stood at the end of the 3 black chains. They all had greenish-gray skin covered with strange patterns. Every inch of their muscles seemed to have been tempered thousands of times, and they were covered with all kinds of hideous scars. On their faces, arms, legs, basically, there were scars on every visible part of their skin. These were the glory and symbols of the Netherkill clan. Unlike the other Netherkiller warriors, these 3 figures had a golden W in between their eyebrows that contained a powerful soul power. It was as if their souls had appeared in between their eyebrows. Breaking extremity. The Netherkill clan's innate talent, the 6 extremities of soul burning. This mark appeared when they comprehended the strongest extremity, the breaking extremity. And with the breaking extremity mark and still alive, it meant that they were the 9 Hells Kings of the Netherkill clan. In the Hongmeng Sea, they were equivalent to the Lords of the World. The Emperor's power is still lacking. Hell King Hongquan rubbed his chin in embarrassment and pouted his lip. They're too slow. If it were me, I would have taken him down long ago. Lower Spring Hell King's voice was as loud as a bell. His huge body was 3 times bigger than How to Endure. He looked like a giant spirit god. Haha, if it were you, a simple-minded guy with all brawn and no brains, you might even sell us out. Hell King Black Spring smiled gracefully. Although she was a woman, her muscles were not any weaker than How to Endure. In fact, she had more scars than How to Endure. The Hell King of the Lower Spring glared at Graceful and Charming and waved his mountain-like fist. Graceful and Charming, have you forgotten how hard my fist is? I can smash you flat with one punch. Come on, hee, I'm not afraid of you. Hell King Hongquan giggled. She purposely puffed out her chest and raised her purple eyebrows slightly. She was hiding a hint of killing intent in her eyes. A woman? To be able to sit on the throne of the 9 hells, every one of them had experienced countless battles of life and death. Alright, you two, stop bickering. The Demon Fist Hell King said, you've been saying the same thing for tens of thousands of years. Even if you're not tired, I'm tired. Can't you just focus on completing the mission? The Demon Fist Hell King and Graceful and Charming seemed to be incompatible. They turned their heads and ignored each other. If one looked carefully, one would see that each of them had a hand touching the golden-black giant cocoon. Streams of energy were transmitted into the golden-black giant cocoon, turning into nutrients and nourishing it. Soon, How to Endure muttered to himself. He looked at the golden-black giant cocoon with deep ambition and desire in his eyes. Once the Emperor completes his final transformation and becomes the legendary Azura Nether God of the Nether Sha clan, he will be able to lead our Nether Sha clan to gallop across the myriad of worlds. All the dimensional worlds will be as silent as cicadas in winter when they hear the name of our clan. Hongmeng Sea, Taichu Origin Chaotic Universe. What? Lin Feng is a spy of the Zerg? Impossible, how is that possible? I don't believe it either. But when Lin Feng fought with Pope that day, Lin Feng did perform the Zerg's energy and devoured Pope's Hongmeng energy. It was the Zerg's devouring ability. Ridiculous. How could there be such a thing? Lin Feng defeated Pope by relying on his own strength. What Zerg's energy? Bug race spy? Don't slander Senior Lin Feng. You are all too naive. Lin Feng is only from a sub-universe and doesn't have an illustrious master. How could he become invincible as a Yuan venerate and defeat Pope on his own? Think about it carefully. Don't you think it's ridiculous and strange? I think so too. Lin Feng's strength is a bit too much. We Taichu cultivators are blessed by nature. We have the best master, the best cultivation environment, cultivation treasures and conditions, and the best bloodline. Why can't we compare to the cultivators of the sub-universe? Furthermore, Lin Feng isn't a special life form. He's just an insignificant human. This is a conspiracy. It must be a conspiracy by the Taichu Inquisition. Don't be misled. Lin Feng is a hero of the Taichu, not a Zerg spy. This is impossible. Do you know that Lin Feng participated in the suppression of the Zerg calamity several times and made illustrious contributions? It's just a ruse. The Zerg race can't be completely wiped out. Even now, the Zerg race is still wreaking havoc in the Taichu. If Lin Feng is really as formidable as you say, why didn't he eliminate the Zerg race completely? Why did he come back? Yeah, he was exaggerating. He killed dozens of big yen worms and hundreds of millions of Zerg, but in the end it was all for naught. Did the Zerg race die out? No, it's said that the Zerg race was discovered in the 15th and 16th sub-universes. You guys are too much. Do you know how heartless it is to slander a Taichu hero like this? Suspecting our Taichu hero without any evidence is too much. You can't say it like that. Let's talk about it from a fair point of view. It's said that Lin Feng can absorb the big yen worm blackboard. Do you guys know that other than Lin Feng, no other cultivator can do that, including Fan Zhu? This is too strange. Everyone should be careful. If Lin Feng really is a Zerg spy and came here with a purpose, wouldn't we become accomplices? We're being sold and counting money for him. For a moment, rumors were everywhere. Information about Lin Feng was everywhere, and everyone had their own version of the story. The Taichu Inquisition's plan was vicious. As the saying goes, 3 people make a tiger, and 100 people make a crime. If one person said it, no one would believe it, but if 100 people said it, what if 10,000 people said it? As long as one person believed it, there would be a second, a third, and a fourth. It was like a domino effect. The more people said it, the more people believed it. When the news spread, more people believed it, and it formed a cycle. In the end, Lin Feng was suspicious. In the end, Lin Feng was not a Taichu cultivator. Everyone had a jealous heart. Chapter 31:30. This time, Lin Feng did not go into seclusion for a long time. The creation of a secret technique was difficult and easy at the same time. From insect emergence to great change was more about the use of energy and the fusion of energy. Moreover, these were not 2 types of energy, but the energy derived from Lin Feng's own energy and the fusion of the original energy. The essence was the same. The fusion was easier than when he cultivated the 9 heavens of light and darkness. However, there was no need to doubt the increase in Lin Feng's strength after taking this step. Now, he was even more powerful than when he fought against the Pope. Great change was the eruption of 2 types of energy at the same time, including the insect race energy and the golden Hongmeng energy. Moreover, they were all at 100% fusing and merging with each other. Not counting the characteristics of the insect race energy, it was already an eruption of 200% combat power. With the characteristics of the insect race energy, it would be even more lethal to the Hongmeng Sea cultivators. Now, even if the 3 guardian deities and the Pope attack together, I am not afraid. Lin Feng's current enemy was the Taichu Inquisition, or rather, the will of the heavenly axiom. He was not in a hurry to deal with the others. The insect race and the unknown calamity were not targeted at him. After dealing with the pressure of the Taichu Inquisition, it would not be too late to deal with the others. Big brother, you finally came out. Sherwan Li's face was bitter, as if he was angry. He picked up a fried dragon claw and stuffed it into his mouth. The crunching sounds were especially crisp. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He glanced at his second brother Sherwan Li and his third brother Yuan. Both of them looked anxious and angry, as if they had some resentment in their hearts. He had only been in seclusion for a few hundred years, and something had happened? Big brother, you don't know that the Taichu Inquisition is secretly adding fuel to the fire, creating rumors and slandering your reputation. Yuan was so angry that his veins were bulging. He gritted his teeth and said, "Their methods are quite dirty and despicable." "It's like this." After that, Yuan recounted everything that had happened in the past few hundred years. Second brother Li and he had spent a lot of effort to save Big Brother's reputation over the past hundreds of years. However, rumors were everywhere and it was difficult to stop them. Moreover, their connections were far inferior to the Taichu Inquisition. In this regard, they were far inferior to the Taichu Inquisition. "I see." Lin Feng nodded and smiled. "I thought it was something big." Lin Feng had never cared about reputation. Back in Universe 7, Lin Feng didn't care even if he became the enemy of the entire universe. He wasn't greedy for power or influence, so what did fame have to do with him? In the eyes of others, there was no need to forcefully change other people's thoughts. "Big brother, you're too casual. How is this not a big deal?" Li muttered with his eyes wide open. It had been hard on him and Yuan for the past few hundred years. Who would have thought that Big Brother didn't care at all? Rumors stop with the wise. Those who believe me will naturally believe me. Those who don't believe me. Lin Feng smiled slightly. If they don't believe me, what can they do to me? Even if I'm a Zerg spy, they can't do anything to me. However, this is a good opportunity. Opportunity? Li and Yuan were dumbfounded. They couldn't keep up with Lin Feng's thoughts. "Yes," Lin Feng said, "I mentioned to you before that although the Zerg disaster has temporarily stabilized, it is far from over. Moreover, the Zerg disaster this time was well planned and the cooperation was flawless. There is an 80 to 90% chance that there is a Zerg spy. Although I have a suspect, I don't have evidence. I can't be completely sure." Li stuffed half of the dragon claw into his mouth. He frowned and pondered. "Big brother, are you talking about Marshal Wali Hongmeng?" Lin Feng nodded. "Based on my judgment, the possibility of Marshal Wali Hongmeng being a Zerg spy is very high. However, she doesn't have any Zerg energy on her, and it doesn't look like she was taken over by the Zerg. I can't find any flaws in her at all. It's not just me. The first Grand Marshal has investigated Marshal Wali Hongmeng many times, but he didn't find anything out of the ordinary." "Can't we just kill her?" Yuan asked. Lin Feng shook his head. "They are all doing their best to resist the Zerg. I can't say that I'd rather kill the wrong person than let them go. Perhaps other cultivators can do this, but I can't." The military had given their all to quell the Zerg disaster. If Marshal Wali Hongmeng wasn't a Zerg spy, she would have also given a lot. Up until now, everything was just his own guess. There was no evidence. "I understand now." Li nodded in realization. He swallowed the remaining dragon claw, and his eyes flashed. "That Zerg spy hiding in the dark will definitely take this opportunity to push all the blame onto you. Not only will he be cleared of suspicion, but he will also be able to get rid of you, the nemesis of the Zerg. It's killing two birds with one stone." Lin Feng said, "There's no reason for him to miss such an opportunity. With the Taichu Inquisition adding fuel to the fire, as long as the Zerg spy wasn't stupid, he would definitely seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." "So, are we going to secretly monitor her now?" Li asked. "There's no need for that." Lin Feng smiled. "This will only alert the enemy. We don't have to do anything. If she really is a Zerg spy, she will definitely make things difficult for me. She might even walk right into the trap." Lin Feng had wanted to catch this Zerg spy for a long time now. If he didn't kill her, he wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. As long as this Zerg spy was around, the Zerg disaster would never end. On the North Star, there were endless rumors and slanders. The Taichu Inquisition's plan for hundreds of years was undoubtedly successful. Now, Lin Feng's reputation was at least 50% lower than before. However, the Taichu Inquisition didn't have much evidence, so nearly half of the cultivators were still unswayed and still supported Lin Feng. They only believed what they saw with their own eyes. How could the cultivators who truly regarded Lin Feng as their idol and worshipped him be swayed by a few words? Their will and beliefs were very firm. Now, although there were rumors all over the North Star, it was still very calm overall. Including the entire Taichu, there were many who doubted Lin Feng and many who spread rumors, but there were very few who really slandered him. If it was just to affect Lin Feng's reputation, the Taichu Inquisition would have been very successful. But this was not their real purpose. How to kill Lin Feng was what they really wanted to do. Candlelight, now that the plan has succeeded, what should we do next? Pope's expression was calm, and his worries seemed to be hidden under a mask. Even without the support of the cultivators, Lin Feng's strength is not below mine. It will not be easy to capture and kill him. Even with the three of you, the chances are still not high. The Candlelight Guardian's long hair fluttered in the wind, revealing a confident smile. Sir, there is no need to worry. We just need to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, quietly waiting for the situation to develop. This is just the beginning. Someone is more anxious than us. If we are not wrong, there will be good news soon, and then, it won't be too late for us to act then. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 3131. Rumors flew everywhere, and the topic of Lin Feng became the hottest topic in absolute beginning. With the Taichu Inquisition fanning the flames, Lin Feng's original body had never come out to clarify the matter, so the wind was gradually turning against him. However, just as Lin Feng had said, even if his reputation was ruined, it wasn't a big deal to him. Lin Feng didn't care about these things at all. Instead, he wanted to use this opportunity to verify some things and solve some mysteries. The game of chess with surging undercurrents was in progress. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. The Taichu Inquisition displayed the power of a superpower and suppressed Lin Feng's reputation step by step. They wanted to use all kinds of methods to completely crush Lin Feng. Strange, why hasn't Lin Feng come out? Is it because he doesn't care to clarify the matter, or is it because... Don't make wild guesses. Didn't the Lin Mansion leak the news that Senior Lin Feng is in seclusion? Even if Senior Lin Feng isn't in seclusion, he wouldn't come out to clarify the matter. It's obvious that the Taichu Inquisition isn't convinced of their loss and is spreading rumors. I don't even know what you're thinking. How can you believe this? You can't say that, said Luo Feng. The doubts raised by the absolute beginning godly Inquisition are reasonable. Many universe masters watched the battle that day, and they all found it strange. The bug energy in Lin Feng's body can't be explained. What's there to explain? Does Senior Lin Feng need to reveal his cards to you? Who doesn't have a few secrets? Senior Lin Feng's talent is peerless. Perhaps this is the secret to his strength. Why should he reveal it to the public? That's right. Don't measure the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. Senior Lin Feng is the pride of our Taichu. Although there were many opinions, Lin Feng's support rate was still quite high on Emperor Star. However, this kind of discussion had not been going on for a day or two. In the end, they still could not come to an accurate conclusion. No one was able to convince the other. Everyone had their own ideas. Information about Lin Feng had always been a mystery. Right at this moment, something big has happened. Insectoids have appeared on the Great Qin planet. It's the time-devouring insect emperor. Countless universe-devouring mother bugs wreaked havoc. A universe-splitter insect king has appeared on planet Gu Sui. So many universe-rending insect kings. Damn it, their killing power is so strong. Countless cultivators have died, and even almighties are no match for them. requesting backup. Kill these damned bugs. A large number of universe-devouring bugs have appeared in Tang Huixing. Hundreds of millions. It's over. Tang Huixing's losses are quite heavy this time. The super blackboard has turned the void black. What a terrifying devouring power! Why are there suddenly so many insectoids? Bastards! The insectoid disaster broke out once again. However, it did not appear in the 15th or 16th subuniverses, nor did it appear in the 1st or 2nd subuniverses. Instead, it appeared in the Taichu Origin Chaos universe that no one had expected, directly attacking the root of the problem. Without any information, no one would have expected that the insectoid attack would break out in an instant and spread throughout the Emperor's star field. In just the blink of an eye, the insectoid disaster broke out again. Wait, Emperor's star field? Emperor's star field, Lin Feng's location? This is too much of a coincidence. It just so happens to be Lin Feng's star field. It's a coincidence. Senior Lin Feng is still in seclusion and has not left Emperor's star field. How could it be related to the insectoid disaster? Moreover, there are no insectoids wreaking havoc on Emperor's star field. Haha, Lin Feng can't be stupid enough to let the insectoids on Emperor's star field, right? Isn't that slapping himself in the face? The other star fields are too far away, and Lin Feng will be shown when he enters the other star fields. Therefore, it's most appropriate to attack the other planets in the Emperor's star field. I think so too. Besides, who knows if he's really in seclusion or not? Lin Feng can use this time to coordinate with the insectoids and finally catch the Taichu off guard. It should be because of the Taichu Inquisition this time that Lin Feng's plan was brought forward. He can't get rid of the suspicion no matter what. Negative news about Lin Feng flooded in like an avalanche. This time, it was far more terrifying than the rumors of the past hundreds of years. Before, it was just a rumor, but now there was evidence. The insectoids were wreaking havoc and angering the heavens and the people. Many pairs of eyes were fixed on them, and the resentment in their hearts had nowhere to be vented. People had a herd mentality. When all the signs pointed to Lin Feng, when all the cultivators said so, Lin Feng was carrying a big pot on his back. The Taichu Inquisition, the Pope thought. Well done. The Pope had a joyful mask on his face. His hands touched the spiral that seemed to be formed by the endless laws of Hongmeng, and he was communicating with the will of the heavenly Tao. Thank you for the praise, my lord. The candlelight guardian god smiled, revealing his handsome face. He was the one who came up with the plan, and the follow-up was completely within his expectations. All the direction of public opinion was under his control, and he deserved the Pope's praise. Does the will of the heavenly Tao have any information about the insectoids? Although the candlelight guardian god had guessed that the insectoid spies would make a move, to be honest, he had been watching the Emperor's starfield closely, but he didn't find any signs of the insectoids. It was as if the insectoids had exploded in an instant and appeared on the various planets of the Emperor's starfield. Of course, it was impossible for them to appear directly. At present, he hadn't found any similar teleportation channels or spatial channels, which meant that the insectoids had already snuck in. To be able to sneak in so stealthily, the insectoids were quite clever. The insectoid spies were stronger than the candlelight guardian god had expected. This made the candlelight guardian god, who liked to control the situation, a little unhappy. No. Pope's hands left the spiral of Hongmeng. The insectoids didn't just hide from us, they even hid from the will of the heavenly Tao. So many insectoids, who knows where they came from? Oh. The candlelight guardian god muttered and frowned. They're really a strong enemy that can't be underestimated. Isn't the enemy of my enemy a friend? The sword-kill guardian god's killing intent was strong. The candlelight guardian god smiled. The sword-kill guardian god is right. There's no need to worry about where the insectoids came from. These insectoids are just bait, and they'll all be destroyed sooner or later. The insectoid spies think the same as us. Everyone wants to get rid of Lin Feng. Has the Imperial Starfield been sealed? Pope asked. The candlelight guardian god smiled and nodded. The 13 Order Dimensional Masters of the Drunken Dominion have been waiting outside since a long time ago. Not only will Lin Feng not be able to escape, none of the insectoids will be able to escape. The Taichu Inquisition indeed wanted to deal with Lin Feng, but it didn't mean that they would wallow in the mire with the insectoids. Once the insectoids got their hands on the Taichu, it would be terrible. When that happened, there would be an endless supply of insectoids, and the Taichu would be able to hide as much as they wanted. The abundant energy would be easy to digest, and they would soon be able to breed an army of insectoids. Very good. Pope nodded in satisfaction and revealed a domineering aura. This time, not only will we destroy Lin Feng's reputation, but we'll also make him a target of scorn and be hated by everyone. We'll definitely not let him live. Mobile version of the website. Chapter 31-32. Emperor Star, Lin Mansion. Big bro, they're really going to attack. 100,000 miles chewed on the fried dragon cartilage happily, as if he was not worried at all. On the other hand, Yuan looked nervous. She knew that this was not a joke. Once Big Brother Lin Feng's name of being a Zerg spy was confirmed, they would be in big trouble. By then, it would not just be the Taichu Inquisition that had to deal with them, but all the cultivators in the Taichu Origin chaotic universe. I'm not afraid of her attacking. I'm just afraid that she'll hide and not come out. After Lin Feng killed the 3 big yen bugs outside Milieu Tua, he carefully checked the information and record. Back then, the 4 superpowers had kept a tight lid on the situation, practically airtight. No matter how many insectoids there was no reason for a large group of them to leave without a sound and appear in the child universe without any warning. There was something fishy going on, and it was very likely that the insectoid spies were behind this. Previously, there was news that the Zergs had appeared in the 15th and 16th child universes. It was impossible to guard against them. The 4 superpowers were very cautious, but the Zergs still managed to infiltrate the child universes. This made Lin Feng even more certain of the existence of the Zerg spy. The Zerg spy had to be eliminated. To a certain extent, she was more dangerous than the Zerg commander. Therefore, this time, when the Taichu Inquisition tried to frame him, Lin Feng decided to beat them at their own game and lure the Zerg spy out. If it was an ordinary cultivator, the Zerg spy would definitely not care. However, if it was him, the Zerg's nemesis, the Zerg spy would definitely not let go of such a good opportunity. Not only could she clear her name, but she could also get rid of the thorn in her side. Are you afraid that I'll go to the 15th and 16th child universes again and clear out the arrangements you made in Century? Lin Feng could feel the Zerg spy's fear of him. Therefore, she would take the risk and kill him at all costs. The communication device was connected for a long time. Do you have any clues, Star Master? Lin Feng asked. It's too late. Although the outside world had many suspicions about Lin Feng, the sky-bearing Star Lord trusted Lin Feng very much. He had no choice but to trust him because he and Lin Feng were on the same boat. If the boat sank, he would be beaten back to his original form and even sink to the bottom of the sea. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised. It seemed that he had underestimated this insectoid spy. None of the Star Lords of the 8 planets where the insectoids have appeared have found any spatial portals, the Star-Lord said. It's very likely that the insectoids have been hiding for a long time, so we can't find the source. No, she must have opened the teleportation channel at the last minute. Lin Feng was very certain. There were so many insectoids on 8 life planet. How could there be no news at all? Even if they did not leave any traces behind, the insectoid spies' plans would be exposed as soon as any of them were discovered. The possibility of that happening was very low. But we really can't find the location of the teleportation, the Star-Lord said. Lin Feng nodded. She probably just wanted to create chaos and shift the blame to me. She didn't really want to take root in the Taichu. That's why the teleportation channel was destroyed the moment it was opened. The insectoids on the 8 life planets were just bait? The Star-Lord did not dare to believe it. That was hundreds of millions of insectoids, sacrificing them just to shift the blame to Lin Feng and make Lin Feng the scapegoat? Yes, Lin Feng replied. So what if there were hundreds of millions of insectoids? The insectoids did not care about numbers. The sacrifice was worth it. Billions or tens of billions were no problem. As long as there was enough energy, the insectoids could reproduce without limit. Has the Star-Lord found any suspicious cultivators? Lin Feng had asked the Star-Lord to use his methods and abilities to monitor the entire Emperor starfield. Not yet. The Bering Star-Lord sounded somewhat apologetic. He had not been able to complete the task that Lin Feng had given him and could not be of much help. Even now, he had not discovered anything suspicious, including the various transportation tunnels. It's okay. Continue monitoring. Let me know if there's any news. Lin Feng was not surprised. The insectoid spies were so cunning. How could they be so easy to deal with? Okay, the Star-Lord replied. After ending the call with the Star-Lord, Lin Feng started a call with the First Marshal. Despite the rumors, the army supported Lin Feng as usual and did not suspect anything. Insectoid spies? What a joke. They knew better than anyone how much Lin Feng had sacrificed to quell the insectoid plague. If not for Lin Feng, the Maluoto realm would have fallen long ago, and the insectoid plague would have spread to the entire Taichu. Lin Feng had killed the insectoid commander alone and dealt a fatal blow to the insectoid. If Lin Feng was an insectoid spy, what was he after? Healy is still protecting the Star Wheel. She hasn't left. The First Marshal's voice rang out. She hasn't left at all these days? Lin Feng asked. Yes. The First Marshal replied. Healy's injuries might be very serious. Brother Lin Feng, are you thinking too much? Maybe it's just a coincidence. I've checked Healy many times. She doesn't have any insectoid energy on her. She has nothing to do with the insectoid. Lin Feng said, It's better to be safe than sorry. If she's an insectoid spy, we'll be in big trouble. That's true. The First Marshal said, We're stationed in the Maluoto realm. All military matters are under Healy's control. Her power is not great, but it's not small either. If she's an insectoid spy, it'll be very troublesome. Lin Feng was stunned. The First Marshal seemed to give Wali Hongmeng a lot of power. However, this was just his own opinion. From the First Marshal's point of view, he had checked Wali Hongmeng. There was nothing wrong with him. Plus, Marshal Wali Hongmeng's abilities were outstanding. He was also heavily injured in the Maluoto realm battle. It was natural for him to take care of some military matters while he was recovering. If you don't trust someone, don't use them. Take care of military matters. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. Many thoughts ran through his mind. During this period of time, the insectoids had developed very quickly. After he got rid of the 3 big yen insects, they quickly recovered a lot of their strength. Right now, they were showing signs of strength in the 15th and 16th subuniverses. Plus, this time, they appeared in the Taichu without any warning. Marshal Wali Hongmeng was becoming more and more suspicious. He hasn't left the Star Wheel. He probably wants to prove his innocence. Lin Feng thought to himself, how can he be so heavily injured? How can a person in charge of the military just stay here to protect the Star Wheel and not leave? Marshal Wali Hongmeng is very capable and has a strong sense of responsibility. He can't just casually take care of military matters. Therefore, the more flawless he does it, the bigger the flaw is. Lin Feng was becoming more and more suspicious of Marshal Wali Hongmeng. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Although he didn't have any clues now, he believed that she would soon show her tail. Come, it's Emperor Star's turn. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 31-33. The Emperor's Star was the most important. The appearance of the insectoids on the other 8 planets in the Emperor's star field, or even more planets, was not enough to pin Lin Feng's crime. However, if the insectoids appeared on the Emperor's star field, and in large numbers at that, Lin Feng would have to take the blame even if he did not want to. With the Taichu Inquisition adding fuel to the fire, Lin Feng had nowhere to vent his grievances. That was why the insectoid spies had spared no effort to cooperate with the Taichu Inquisition to create such a scene. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. To the insectoid spies, Lin Feng's existence was not only a threat, but also a devastating disaster. As long as Lin Feng was there, the insectoids would not be able to grow stronger. Just his ability to snipe the big yen bugs was enough to make the insectoids struggle. Damned insectoids, kill them all! Damn it, my residence was razed to the ground in an instant. My years of savings. Don't let them escape, don't leave a single one alive. Brothers, follow me. Let's destroy the super blackboard and protect our home. The cultivators of the Emperor's star field began their counterattack. Just as Lin Feng had said, the insectoids had no intention of conquering the Emperor's star field. To them, it was meaningless and impossible to succeed. There were too many experts gathered in the Taichu Origin Chaos Universe. Conquering the Taichu Origin Chaos Universe was akin to digging one's own grave. Even if the insectoids wanted to launch a large-scale attack, their target should be the sub-universes and not the Taichu Origin Chaos Universe. They were just going to farm a wave to complete their mission. Is Lin Feng really an insectoid spy? I don't know either, but if Lin Feng isn't an insectoid spy, where did these insectoids suddenly come from? And in the Emperor's star field, isn't that too much of a coincidence? You have to believe in Senior Lin Feng. How could he be an insectoid spy? Someone must be spreading malicious rumors. The relationship between Lin Feng and the insect race is inextricably linked. The Taichu Inquisition was ordered by the will of the Heavenly Way to deal with Lin Feng. The will of the Heavenly Way is not an intelligent creature, so the will of the Heavenly Way must have come because Lin Feng posed a threat to it and caused harm to the chaotic universe of the Taichu origin. Let's wait and see how the situation develops. Right now, the insect race has yet to appear on Emperor's Star. If Lin Feng really is an insect race spy, it's impossible for him to only leave Emperor's Star behind. Lin Feng is overseeing Emperor's Star, so the number of insects lurking there must be the most. Time passed. All the cultivators were waiting for an answer. The Taichu Inquisition was waiting for the Emperor's Star's insectoids to appear and deal a fatal blow to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was also waiting for the insect race spy to reveal himself. Everyone was scheming and scheming. In the Lin residence, Lin Feng stood alone, his expression calm and composed, as if he had turned a deaf ear to the outside world. In fact, that was not the case. Faint golden Hongmeng power shone, and the great world incarnation had already sunk into the ground and spread out. It was incomparably huge, and the range of control was astonishing. The great world incarnation implicated the small world incarnation. The entire Emperor's Star was under Lin Feng's control. No matter how big Emperor's Star was, could it be bigger than Hongmeng's 1,000 Perception Mountain? Shan Yuan used his world incarnation to control the entire Hongmeng's 1,000 Perception Mountain. Lin Feng could also use his world incarnation to control Emperor's Star. If Lin Feng wanted to, he could even control the Emperor's star field. However, the difficulty was high and the net was too wide. Emperor's Star was Lin Feng's home ground. With the cooperation of the sky-bearing Star Lord, Lin Feng had set up an inescapable net long ago, waiting for the insect race spy to arrive. Hua! Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and his figure disappeared in an instant. In that instant just now, faint spatial fluctuations appeared on Polaris Star. They were very well hidden and were concealed by a special power. It seemed to be some sort of array formation, but with Polaris Star at this time, Even the rustling of leaves in the wind couldn't escape Lin Feng's notice. Finally it appeared. Emperor's Star, under a huge silver-black ancient castle. Sizzle! 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 A huge engraved array shone, and Hongmeng's laws condensed at the center of the array. The powerful Hongmeng power covered the array's power, and the spatial fluctuations were suppressed. The void and deep black circle was like a huge dragon that stretched endlessly, leading to an unknown space domain. Come out! Haha, all of you come out! Destroy Emperor Star ruthlessly and devour their universe. It was a purple demon race elite with black horns. Demon runes appeared, and a pair of big hands that could cover his face opened up. He laughed wildly, and his expression was twisted. He was wearing the army's uniform armor with the number 27 printed on it. Number 27 Hongmeng Army Taichu General, Swan Ni. The insect race's energy was faintly discernible on Swan Ni's body, and it seemed to have merged with the huge engraved array. Its huge body trembled slightly, as if it was receiving a powerful force. The black circle shone, and the surrounding space shattered. Sizzle! Sizzle! The space was torn apart and the black circle kept expanding. Hua, from the black halo, a universe-rending insect drilled out. It waved its 8 sickle-like arms and emitted a murderous aura. The purple sarcoma on its forehead was extremely eye-catching. Immediately after, a universe-devouring insect drilled out. Its enormous body was wrapped in golden radiance. Its oval white abdomen dragged behind it like a tail. The third, the fourth, the fifth, the black circle kept expanding, and more insects appeared. They gathered in the engraved array. The insect race's energy was extraordinarily strong, and the engraved array compressed the space to the extreme, not allowing any energy to leak out. Under the ancient castle, the insect race's army was gathering. Come, come, ha ha ha! The Swan Taichu general laughed wildly, and the insect race's energy skyrocketed. In the wild laughter, the insect race continued to appear, and their energy became stronger. Soon, the black circle expanded dozens of times, and an even more terrifying energy descended. Universe-tearing insect king, universe-devouring insect emperor. The existence of the pinnacle almighties was like a general of the insect clan, appearing suddenly. They were waiting for Taichu Yuan to give the order to activate the inscription formation. Then, these insect clan members would rush toward Ziwei's star like a swarm of locusts and kill crazily. Soon, the North Star was about to fall into a state of panic. Soon, Lin Feng would be condemned by everyone, and he would become the real insect race's spy. Soon, swish, 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 swish. 4 light walls appeared in an instant. The dark red light condensed the Hongmeng's law of destruction, and instantly shrouded the huge ancient castle. That was Lin Feng's small world incarnation. It rose from the ground and directly covered the huge ancient castle, the huge engraved array, and the dense insect race, including the Taichu General Swan Ni. What? The Swan Taichu General's expression changed instantly. It's you. A faint voice resounded. Lin Feng's figure and the small world incarnation appeared together. Looking at the Taichu general, Lin Feng glanced at the symbol on his chest and the insect race's energy in his hands. Lin Feng's gaze fell on the insect race in the engraved array and the black circle teleportation channel. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31-34. Lin Feng did not recognize the Taichu Yuan general, but the symbol on his armor was undoubtedly real. Was he the bug race spy? TSK. The Taichu Yuan general twisted his claws and attacked Lin Feng the moment he saw him. Streaks of cold light followed the movement of his claws. The power of the engraved array wanted to tear Lin Feng into pieces. Lin Feng was very familiar with this energy. Bug race energy. It was a strange energy that could devour the universe of the Hongmeng Sea. Destroy. The battle saber snow jewel appeared and instantly connected with the power of the small world embodiment around it. The power of the golden Hongmeng erupted and completely suppressed the Taichu Yuan general. The two of them were not on the same level at all. The Taichu Yuan general was a universe master, so he could activate the power of the engraved array and devour the bug race energy. However, he had encountered Lin Feng. The current Lin Feng could easily kill a bug race commander, so the Taichu Yuan general was nothing to be afraid of. Chi. Just one slash was enough to break the Taichu Yuan general's defense. The second slash was aimed at the Taichu Yuan general's flaw and wanted to capture him. Lin Feng had not used his full strength. Otherwise, he would have been able to kill the Taichu Yuan general in an instant. There was no hurry to kill him. Lin Feng still had not confirmed the identity of the Taichu Yuan general. Although he had walked right into the trap, there were still many doubts in combination with the outbreak of the bug disaster. What he saw might not be true. If it was really him, the Taichu Yuan general had hidden himself too well from head to toe. There were no flaws at all. Wasn't it too much of a coincidence that his identity as a bug race spy was only exposed now? Capture him first. Although Lin Feng was a Yuan venerate, his strength could completely crush a universe master. TSK. Haha. The Taichu general gnashed his teeth, the demonic tattoos all over his body twisting and distorting. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets after his move was broken. With a roar, the insectoid energy surged into his body. The Taichu general laughed maniacally, his blood surging as his body rapidly expanded. Whoosh! Lin Feng's heart trembled. He was going to self-destruct. He could kill him, but he could not stop him from self-destructing. Once the Taichu Prime General self-destructed, nothing would be left. Moreover, the inscription formation would be broken directly, and the huge insect hidden in the inscription formation would surge out in an instant. There were millions of them, and they were still increasing. There was a lot of space in this sealed engraved pattern formation. There were many more bug tribes than it looked, and many of them were Universe Devourer Bug Kings and Universe Splitter Bug Kings. Whether it was attack power or destruction power, it was more than 10 times that of the other life planets. Once it erupted, the consequences would be unimaginable. TSK. The Taichu general looked pained as he looked at Lin Feng with contempt and provocation. His swollen body was on the verge of exploding. Whether Lin Feng killed him or not, the Taichu general would explode. Mockery and contempt. It was as if he was saying to Lin Feng, "Kill me if you can. You want to die? It's not that easy." Lin Feng's soul fluctuated, and the golden power of Hongmeng lingered. The moment before the Taichu general self-destructed, he used the Soul Shock Mystic technique. Ether Soul Breaker. Even the red-faced immortal was defeated by Lin Feng's Soul Shock Mystic technique, let alone the Taichu general. His self-destructing soul had no resistance at all. He widened his eyes in horror. He did not expect Lin Feng to use the Soul Shock Mystic technique even though he knew he would die. Was he crazy? Hong. The Taichu general, who had collapsed to the extreme, exploded under the stimulation of the Bug Clan's energy. Even if his soul and body were attacked, it could not stop the self-destruction of the Taichu general. It would only be brought forward, and the cultivator who attacked him would have to endure the power of the self-destruction at close range. For a cultivator as powerful as the Taichu general, how powerful would his self-destruction be? It was comparable to a full power attack from a pinnacle universe master. Lin Feng attacked his soul, which meant that Lin Feng's soul would also suffer the most direct damage. Pung! The golden power of Hongmeng guarding Lin Feng's soul dissipated by more than half, which showed how powerful the self-destruction of the Taichu general was. However, Lin Feng was not so easy to deal with now. He could even kill an ultimate universe master, so how could Lin Feng be afraid of the Taichu general? Lin Feng would only use the soul attack if he was absolutely sure. As for Lin Feng's body, the protection of the small world avatar was enough to withstand the explosion. The Taichu general was very smart. He was no match for Lin Feng, and self-destruction was the best way to solve the problem. Not only would he not leave any clues behind, but he would also release the Bug Clan army from the space tunnel and bring disaster to Emperor Wei Star. His mission was half completed. It was a pity that his opponent was stronger. See. The seal of the inscription formation was broken by the explosion. The space inside the formation was spread out in an instant. Countless insect clan members spread out in all directions from the center of the formation at a very fast speed. Some of them even attacked Lin Feng directly, wanting to devour his body. The Bug Clan did not have much intelligence. Their instinct was to eat and absorb all the energy they could. If these insectoids were allowed to escape, even if only half of them managed to escape, Emperor Star would be thrown into chaos. Lin Feng's already precarious reputation would plummet to the bottom of the cliff, and he would have to bear the blame. There were no other cultivators here except for him. The Taichu general had self-destructed. If Lin Feng was not a bug spy, who else was? If I'm not wrong, the Taichu Inquisition will hit me when I'm down and kill me soon after the Bug Clan's rampage. The golden power of Hongmeng on Lin Feng's body shone brightly, and his strength continued to increase. Unfortunately, the premise of all this is that the Bug Clan appears on Emperor Wei Star. If no Bug Clan appears, then even if I'm a suspect, the Taichu Inquisition can't do anything. Not a single one of the insectoids here will appear. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly, and the Hongmeng Law appeared. That was the power of the rank 7 Hongmeng Law. With the support of Lin Feng's golden Hongmeng power, golden runes lit up on the ground, surrounding the entire castle area, and enveloping all the bugs. The great world incarnation slowly rose from the ground like an aircraft carrier, and the golden runes merged perfectly with Lin Feng. Great destruction! Lin Feng's strength suddenly erupted, and he activated the great world incarnation's vigorous energy. The rank 7 Hongmeng Law, Great Destruction, was more than 10 times stronger than the Taichu general's self-destruction. Rumble! The sky fell and the earth cracked, and the entire Emperor Wei Star trembled. The insectoids that were fleeing in all directions were instantly devoured by the explosive force and turned into nothingness. The entire castle was razed to the ground. Lin Feng had already set up an inescapable net long ago. His great world avatar was in control of the entire situation and would not give the Taichu Prime General any chance at all. Everything was under Lin Feng's control. The Taichu General was just a waste of effort. Oh no. He also sent some clues. Lin Feng's soul shock just now had some result. The fastest mobile version of the website. Chapter 31-35. Cultivators who were almighties and above had mature and complete internal universes. It was almost impossible for them to be possessed. If they were universe dominators whose internal universes had reached the level of Hongmeng, the possibility of being possessed was zero. Lin Feng had never thought of possessing the Taichu general. It was unrealistic. Even if he succeeded, he would instantly self-destruct and die. This was because the Taichu general had self-destructed his internal universe. When the internal universe exploded, everything would naturally be destroyed and disappear. Lin Feng had used the soul shock because he wanted to confirm one thing: was the Taichu general really a Zerg spy? He's not. Lin Feng clearly remembered the entire process of the soul shock. The Taichu general's soul was not pure. Of course, it was his own soul. He was not possessed or enslaved. Instead, he was in a state of being bewitched. It was like an illusion, but it was also real. The problem was that the Taichu general had the strength of a universe dominator. It was much harder to bewitch a universe dominator than to capture or defeat him. No matter how high one's soul attainments were or how profound their secret techniques were, it was still extremely difficult. Unless the will of the heavenly Tao? Lin Feng frowned slightly. This method was rather similar to the Taichu Inquisition. However, would the Taichu Inquisition work together with the Zerg? It was definitely impossible. The Zerg posed a much greater threat to the will of the heavenly Tao than he did. The Zerg would not do that either. Lin Feng's understanding of the insectoids was very detailed, especially the insectoid energy. Because of his self-created secret techniques, insectoid emergence and mutation, Lin Feng's understanding of the insectoid energy was much deeper than before. The Zerg's energy had the ability to devour and strengthen itself, but it was not diverse. This was different from Hongmeng's energy. Everyone had their strengths and weaknesses. The Zerg's energy was compatible with their race's characteristic. They could control the Zerg they had evolved, devour the universe's energy, and turn it into their own energy. However, it was difficult for strong Zergs to use the Zerg's energy to perform some moves and secret technique. This insectoid spy isn't simple. Lin Feng had not paid much attention to the insectoid spy before because, strictly speaking, she was only a subordinate of the insectoid commander, assisting the insectoids in invading the Hongmeng Sea. With the insectoid commander dead, the insectoids were leaderless. What could a mere insectoid spy do? But from the looks of it, that was not the case. Insectoid spies were very powerful. He hid it very well. There's a high chance that she's not an insectoid. Lin Feng took a deep breath. His previous guess was completely wrong. No wonder the first marshal couldn't find an insectoid spy no matter how hard he tried. If she wasn't an insectoid herself, how could she sense the insectoid energy? On the contrary, he might be more like her. If he hadn't used soul shock this time, he wouldn't have thought of this. However, if the insectoid spy was not an insectoid, then who was she? A cultivator from the Hongmeng Sea? Working with the insectoids? What good would it do her? Very smart. Lin Feng had to admit that the insectoid spy's plan of using the Taichu general was very smart. If the Taichu general succeeded, he would definitely take the blame. If he failed, the Taichu general would self-destruct and be treated as an insectoid spy, becoming a scapegoat. Unfortunately, the insectoid spy missed out on one thing. He was too familiar with the insectoid energy. He was even more familiar with the insectoid energy than the insectoids themselves. The Taichu general didn't have insectoid energy. He was just one with the engraved formation. The engraved formation absorbed the insectoid energy and turned it into the Taichu general's energy. It seemed to belong to him, but it didn't actually belong to him. But if she's not an insectoid, now that the insectoid commander is dead, how is she going to work with the insectoids? Lin Feng didn't know much about the insectoids. He only knew that the insectoids had a pyramid structure and only had one leader. If the insectoid commander died, there shouldn't be a successor. The other insectoids wouldn't become the insectoid commander either. Although they had a certain level of intelligence, they still acted based on their instincts. So, what could the insectoid spy gain? Beep. Lin Feng contacted the first marshal. The latter's voice came through. Are you in trouble, brother Lin Feng? I'm all right. Lin Feng smiled. Marshal, you're really well informed. The first marshal laughed. A large number of insectoids have appeared in the Taichu, affecting the Imperial Starfield. How could I not know about such a huge matter? All the superpowers are talking about it. They're all very nervous. Looks like my name should be mentioned all the time, Lin Feng said in surprise. The first marshal replied, That's normal. However, they won't do anything without evidence. Also, the army is vouching for you, brother Lin Feng. The Taichu Inquisition alone won't be able to change the situation. Thank you, Marshal. Lin Feng thanked him. It wasn't just because the army supported him. It was also because the army still believed in him. It was rare. Compared to what you did for absolute beginning, these idiots are all blind. They are all brainless idiot. The first marshal scoffed coldly. His tone was filled with disdain. He didn't want to be associated with them. "Oh right, Marshal, I have some clues about the insectoid spy." Lin Feng went straight to the point. "Tell me about it." The first marshal was very interested. "It's like this." Lin Feng told the first marshal about what happened just now. The first marshal fell into deep thought and didn't say anything for a long time. Lin Feng's words contained too much information. Luring the snake out of its hole, Lin Feng succeeded. He confirmed the existence of the insectoid spy. There was a high chance that the spy was in the army. What shocked the first marshal even more was that the insectoid spy wasn't from the insectoid race. There was a high chance that it was a Hongmengsi cultivator. "If it's really like what Brother Lin Feng said, it will be troublesome," the first marshal said in a deep voice. The scope was too large. It was too difficult to identify and catch the real insectoid spy. "I understand," Lin Feng said. "I hope you can help me with something. Do you have information on the Taichu generals?" "I will quickly find it for you," the first marshal said. Lin Feng said, "The more detailed, the better, including his work records, where he went, who he met, etc. Also, I need to find out which Taichu generals and division commanders were in the Imperial Starfield when the insectoid plague broke out. The faster, the better." "No problem," the first marshal replied decisively. He knew how serious this matter was. If the Taichu generals were really bewitched, then he might not be the only one in the army who was bewitched. If that was the case, it would be a huge crisis for the army. After ending the call, Lin Feng let out a sigh. "It's boring to continue waiting for news on planet Ziwei. Let's go take a look at the other life planet. Maybe we can find some clues." Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations.